Goobledy. Hi, everybody. Welcome in to the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios on the beautiful south side of Chicago. I am Pugs Moran, and we're doing the show here on a Friday, although I don't know for how long because we have the dreaded weather rolling in. Let me see. I was just reading something this morning that was talking about how this has been the warmest summer in the United States, not in Chicago, not where we do the show. This has temperature-wise been an awesome summer. If you don't want to go to the beach and, get sunburn every day, it has been like median temperature this summer has been like 80, 82. It's because it's been so many rainstorms. And then we had like a week of the smoke. Remember the Canadian smoke? Kid and I, my boy is in town with me now for another week or so. And we went for a walk. We go for a walk around the little neighborhood every night. And usually about 10 o'clock. We go out yesterday, we open our front door, and the first thing he says is, "You smell smoke?" And I'm like, "Oh, shit, the Canadian smoke is back." But I don't know. Somebody was probably just burning something. I have no idea. Because it's not the Canadian smoke. Currently, we got 81 degrees and rain likely around 12:30. The rain that they're talking about seems to be fairly significant. We're going to rain all day long. So knock on wood, we were knocked off the air on Monday, but those were pretty significant storms. Those were, I don't know what these are. I just know we're going to get some rain. So I love it. I love a rainy afternoon. My favorite thing is, I think I've said this before. I have this odd memory from when I was a kid in elementary school, and I grew up in the 70s. So all the, hippie educators of the era, they were trying new things and we were the guinea pigs. Open classrooms. Don't know if you guys remember that. Don't know if they're a thing anymore. Can't imagine they would be. Open classrooms were schools that were designed, I think, maybe between 1972 and 1985. Yeah, maybe that era. So if you went to an elementary school in that era, you might remember this concept that was new. No longer was it the school classroom where the teacher would shut the door and you were contained in your little box. No, apparently the hippies thought that it was far better for learning if we just let the kids sit in a giant gymnasium separated from other classrooms by like cork boards and, whiteboards and shit. Something would happen in another classroom and everybody would be like, "What's going on over there?" Yeah, good idea, stupid hippies. God. And anyway, leading back to my rainy day point, my school, Liberty School in Orland Park, was really new. 1976. It was built in 1976, called Liberty because, everything was about liberty and Ben Franklin and the bicentennial then. So we were Liberty. But our school, the main housing unit, if you want to call it that, for these, these kids, for us, was like in the back, and it was all glass. It was all windows. So you're in this giant gymnasium, every classroom separated only by cork boards and blackboards, and you are surrounded. Your perimeter is glass windows looking out into the world. Yeah, there was a lot of serious studying going on. Not at all. Like 80% of the kids in those schools just looking out the window going, "I'm bored." Is that a hot air balloon? Anyway, it did give me one of my favorite memories of all time, which 10 o'clock in the morning, class, bored out of my skull, dark outside, street lights are on, and it's raining. Oh, I don't know. For some reason, I just that's like my happy place. I go back. I'm 9 years old again, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of like this. So I welcome the storms that are coming. Hey, give me a second here, guys. I know I usually take a break later in the show, and we just started. I need to take a quick break, but I will be right back. Don't worry. We're doing a show today. We got you. Just give me a quick break. Something just came up, and I have to handle it. So please, hold on. Show starts in a minute. We got the small talk out of the way. That's probably good. All right. There we go, guys. Sorry about that. Just had to handle some quickly changing travel arrangements. So anyway, yeah, we're going to do a show. It's going to rain, and we're going to try and push through no matter what. Let me get rid of the back in a minute. Oh, also, you know what I didn't do? I didn't even say thank you to our chat room yet. I didn't do our little chat room thing. So let's see. Every day I like to reward the people who just move my heart the deepest. Is that a thing? Can you move a heart deeply? Sure. These are the three people who are in our chat room first. At the start of the show, they wait patiently. They make me feel like maybe this is not all for naught. That's a word. Who do we have here today? Let me see. Our chat room. We got Al. Oh, my God. Look at Big Al. Hi, Al. Al says, Al every day, same thing. Hello, my amigos. Which, again, as I always like to say, I think of Al as El Gamboa, Big Al Gamboa. I think he's Italian. Al is not Italian, and I've got to get that through my head. Look at this. Now we got Kevin, KB. Oh, Jesus. Happy Spider-Man's his day, everyone. Yeah. Spider-Man's a thing. It's happening. It's a movie. My kid's very excited about it, but my kid is so good. My kid knows like things are tight and shit like that. So he's really good about that shit. He's going back next week. That was the reason for the delay that we just had there. So just trying to make some last minute details being handled. Kevin is number 2. First through the checkered flag is Al. He's up on the podium. Kevin is number 2. He's on the podium. And in third place, also drinking from my kid is obsessed with this. And I guess it's, it's his generation. So it's new to me, but I guess it's been around for a while. And it's really deep and it's really detailed. And there's this, I don't know, like anything we old people discovered, when the kids are like, neck deep in it. It's amazing that it's existed. And I had no idea this was a thing, but it spawned a movie and it's available to watch. And I swear to God, I watched this movie. I thought it was going to be another one of these stupid ass movies that my kid makes me watch. That it's just going to be, I don't know why I do that. You know why? Because I think as a father, he's always going to have the suggestions of a 10-year-old. Now, probably not always, but right now we are in a transition period where the shit that he suggests is legit. And I am the one struggling with, to give it credibility or anything. Or do I treat it like when he suggested we go see Minions 2? Or, whatever. But man, he's been pushing me all summer to see a movie that we watched, and it was amazing. Back Rooms. Have you guys seen that movie? Do you guys even know what that movie is? Oh, my God. The kid who made it's like 14 years old or some shit. Nah, he's like 20 or something. He's young. Kane Parsons. Unbelievable. I'm a big Kubrick fan. I love the directors, but I'm watching this movie and I'm going, how old is this kid again? What? It's like the first time you saw something from Tim Burton. It's like the first time you saw something from Quentin Tarantino. It's like you're watching this and you're like, this is his first movie. Oh my God, buckle up, Buttercup. Back Rooms, highly suggested. Another one, my 17-year-old son, he's like, no, Dad, you got to watch this. You got to watch this. You'll like it. You'll appreciate it. And he was right. So very cool. I know I'm a middle-aged man who doesn't know shit from Shinola about pop culture, especially the relevant pop culture of the day. Oh, you get me in a 90s or 80s trivia contest and I will crush. Start to lose traction somewhere around, 2005, but I guess that's to be expected. Let me see here. Peter's in the chat room. We didn't say hi to Peter. Hi, Pete. Pete says, howdy. Al of the infamous Gamboa clan. Yeah, the Gamboa family. They've been running Northwest Indiana since, the 1940s? I think Ricardo handed it over to them when they whacked Johnny Peppers. They took over retired the gambling and all that. Yeah, that's the Gamboa family. Barney, the phrase comedically large has crept into my everyday lexicon. Comedically large. There you go. I like that. Comedically, humorously oversized is another way that we can describe the champagne bottle that they drink from there on F1 stadiums or podiums. Here's Adam. Adam, welcome in. Adam says, I've been wanting to see it. Maddie likes the YouTube guy. Yeah, he's a YouTube guy. I like him too now. So my kid, like one of the first things when he got here, those many weeks ago, was said, okay, here's what we're gonna do, blah blah blah. But you got to see this. This is Dad. I want you to hear about this kid. I want you to kid. He didn't call him a kid. He called him a guy. And so I'm like, yeah. What does he do? What does he draw? Spider-Man cartoons? What? See, again, because as I said, my kid's in this transitional thing where half the shit that comes out of his mouth is very grown up and should be respected. And then the other half is, hormonal teenager, just trying to figure it all out. But, so I was just kind of like, yeah, whatever. He started out as a YouTube guy, as Adam says here. His wife, Maddie, is apparently familiar with him. Kane Parsons started out as a YouTube guy who just created this universe called Backrooms. And if you don't know what it is, I am not the guy to explain it to you. I don't know. The premise is simple. I'll give you the premise of the movie because I think the movie does a very good job. Don't even know about any of the online stuff. I think the movie does a very good job of making an entry level into this universe of Backrooms. So the premise of the movie is this. A guy runs a furniture store. And he's going through all kinds of crazy life shit. His wife is leaving him, or he's going through a divorce or whatever. And he's a frustrated architect. He doesn't want to be running a furniture store, but he runs a crazy discount furniture store, right? Captain Carl's, I believe it's called. And because he's been kicked out of his house because he's going through a separation, he's now living in the furniture store. And while living in the furniture store one night, he discovers a back room behind a wall that he had never noticed before, that had never been there before. And he goes up to it and he's drawn to it. And oh my God, he just slides through it like it's pudding. Just like, and basically those are the back rooms. That there is an entire universe going on. It's called The Matrix. It's like, whatever. I don't care. It doesn't even need to make sense. All I need to do is tell you that I am a grown-ass man who has seen the ascent of many brilliant directors before, and I have never spoken like this about any of them. Well, of course, I've never had a podcast, but yeah, this dude and my son, I make him nuts because like I won't refer to him by his actual name, which is Kane Parsons. So I call him Tyler Durden. I'm like, this Tyler Durden director is great. My kid's like, that's not his name. I'm like, what is his name again? I know his name, and you should too. It's really interesting, Adam. I've read the reviews, and it's hard to really say that whether or not you're going to like it or not, because I understand the people. There's a lot of people who have serious criticisms of the film Backrooms, and I understand it. I go, but I don't have those criticisms. It's not slow to me. It's not boring, right? It's not, because I am watching this universe unfold. It's interesting to me. And as I said to my kid, I go, well, okay, they're probably in the process of making a 2 and a 3 and a 4 because this can go on forever. That's the point. Which, you got to be honest, started a little bit of an argument, not a big argument, but a little bit of a discussion about Kay Parsons, because I immediately said that, he will go George Lucas on this thing, this whole Backrooms universe. He could go George Lucas if he wants. And my son, who is, ideological and beautifully so, because the world hasn't shit on him yet. So, he's like, nah, he won't sell out. He goes, he's different. He's doing this. And I'm like, dude, I remember when Tim Burton would never sell out. I remember when he was. And it's not selling out. If you can still make great, impactful art and the world celebrates you by, in return, making you wealthy, that is not selling out. There is this idea that, oh, he sold out. Why? Because more people than just you like him now? That's nonsense. We should be excited for people who do shit like that. And Kane Parsons absolutely did. So Backrooms, highly recommended. I now realize that I did not review it before now. Let's see here. Al says he's the notorious Al G. All right, I like that. Notorious LG. Okay, we'll go with that. You can't force the nicknames around here, guys. See, this is another rule, societal rule that I have seen broken with high frequency lately. You're not allowed to give yourself a nickname. You're not even supposed to initially like your nickname. The process of owning a nickname, pugs, the process is that you have to initially be mocked. And then the nickname becomes a part of the mockery, a branding. You've been mocked. Here's your brand. And you wear that scarlet letter. And how you wear it determines how big of a punishment you suffer. Own it. I became fucking Pugs. They tried to call me Pugsley. The whole thing started as Pugsley, and I'm like, okay, we'll go with it. We'll go with it. And over a couple of weeks, it had become Pugs. And I'm like, see, I knew that would happen. Fuck you. I like my nickname. I own it. But if I had been like, yeah, my nickname is going to be the King. Just call me the King. Every time you see me, just go, here comes the King. So you're not allowed to do that. You're supposed to get a nickname. Preferably, if you're an athlete, the nickname comes from either a sports writer or maybe a play-by-play guy. Or in this chat room, it comes from me. All right? I'm the Hawk Harrelson giving the nicknames. Let's see here. All right, I guess we're good there. Let's see here. It is the final day of August. So before we get rolling with today's commentary and unabridged nonsense, let's just for one last time thank our heroes of the month of July. These are the people who tipped the show in July. We are no longer doing a pledge week because the pledge week the last 2 months has failed miserably. So it's just month-long campaign raising, trying to keep this kind of show on the air. So if you support this kind of, talk radio, daily talk radio that struggles mightily to bring you a form that you're not going to find anywhere else. And it ain't because I ain't good enough. I did it successfully for decades in major markets in this country. It's because I can't be controlled. That's the problem. Because nobody knows what I am. What kind of box is he? You know what? I don't know. I'd like to say I'm somewhere in the middle. Normal, like a regular person who doesn't get all bent out of shape. And, like there's a guy that I like. There's a friend of mine. He's a friend of mine on Twitter. And in real life, we know each other years ago, but still. Anyway, never mind. We're not going to get off on that. What I'm saying is that this is a show for normal people. Okay. Why my friend suddenly seems to have a vast expert level knowledge of the tiers of the Iranian military is beyond me. But he doesn't, okay? I know him. He doesn't have that kind of knowledge, and he's on Twitter. Dude's got like 10,000 followers. And I'm like, no, he doesn't know what he's talking about. So, I don't know what I'm talking about either, but we all get together and we have a wild chat room, I'll call it, a wild, fun chat room. And we all kind of try and figure it out together. That kind of talk radio doesn't exist. So if you support that kind of talk radio, be like our July heroes as we barrel into August. Get ahead of the curve. I want to thank Al. Al, you know what, Al? You get your nickname. Notorious Big Al G. What? Is that it? That's it now. Sorry, Al. I may have fucked it up, but that's it. You're the notorious Big Al G now. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Al. Thank you to Jen H. No full last names. We don't need to, but Jen H. Thank you, Jen. Consistency. Oh my God. Heidi. Heidi's awesome. Thank you, Heidi. Heidi's great. Heidi helps a lot. Tracy D, of course. What do I say about Tracy D? How long's she been around? Maddie, of course. Maddie was supposed to be on today, but she's busy. But that's good. Busy is good. Peter. He's king of the chicken coop. He's the head rooster in charge of the chicken coop. There you go, Pete. Nickname, head rooster in charge. That's what he gets. Let's see here. Barney. I mean, my God. Like a mold. Like you can count on Barney. You can count on Barney. Everything's going great. No, I'm kidding. I love Barney. I love the consistency of Barney. Barney and I go back years. Can't think of the last time I saw Barney. Improv. Improv. Yeah, Barney. Look at Barney showing up to support me and Parker when we did our stupid thing. Thank you, Barney, for being a hero this month, and of course, Mama B again. Just like that one really, because Mama B's known me since I'm knee high to a grasshopper. Mikey D, thank you, Mikey D, and Leslie G, and Mikey or Leslie C. Why did I? Leslie, how long, Leslie? Thank you, Leslie. I can't believe I called her Leslie C. Thank you, Leslie. Appreciate you. And I appreciate you, Mikey D. I saw today. Mikey D dropped a little something today. Multiple time supporter, Mikey D. I don't know if I should move that into the August category or what, but there you go. Thank you to our July heroes. If you want to help support this kind of talk radio, as I say, kind of doesn't really exist anywhere else. I'm not a Republican. I'll tell you this. I don't like Trump. That's, I guess that makes me a libtard. Yeah. Does that make me a libtard because I don't like Trump? Okay, whatever. I think he's corrupt as the day is long. And that's clear. All right. But other than that, man, I can go anywhere on anything. So what are we going to talk about today? Let me see. What are our topics? Here we've got the Minnesota water deal. I want to talk about that a little bit. Have you seen that story? That's going around this morning. That's one of these. Be very afraid. I got my boy Grego, formerly of the Hardline. He's out there demanding that we nuke Iran now. They're poisoning our water supply. Yeah. All right. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to find out what's true and what's not true and what really is going on here with the, hacking of multiple Minnesota state water supply systems that are now believed to have been the result of Iranian hackers. We've got a little Nolan Wells update. I'm going to be covering this story because this story is, I think, not going anywhere for a while. There are some twists and turns that we need to add. Nolan Wells is the kid who went out on 4th of July and never came home from Horn Island. They're in Mississippi. I'm trying to figure out, I'm trying this whole, everybody, the country, anybody interested in this story is just trying to sort of balance the well-known racial history of Mississippi with the realities of what today is and what the situation was, which was a black kid who seemingly has a lot of mixed friends, white friends and probably all white friends. Now that I think about the people who are on the boat with him, but it's not like, hey, we're going to take our black friend out. It was like he was a part of the group. So it's a very tricky sort of racial undertone to this story. But the bottom line is there's a bigger story for me. And that is these friends. Did these friends leave their boy behind when he clearly needed? Well, we've got an update, so we'll cover that, the Nolan Wells thing. And we'll try and dance around as best we can the whole racial aspect of this, which is just the fuel. It's why, it's taking off. I wish the reason the Nolan Wells story was taking off was because people were concerned about the behavior of young men towards their friends. What happened to the Marine ethos? You never leave a man behind. Because as we heard yesterday in some pretty upsetting audio tape from the day of the incident, it's clear to me that Nolan was in distress and that he didn't of his own volition say, I'm going to stay behind and try and bang this Katie chick I just met. We talked about Katie too. That wasn't a thing, so get that out of your head. No, I think this is really a story of boys being not boys. Not boys at all. So we've got an update there on the Nolan Wells thing. We'll talk about that. We've got a Tony Romo update. I want to get into the story of the boat asshole that we here in Northern Illinois have had to suffer the last couple of, since last week. Guy, rich, suburban jerk off with multiple DUIs, killed a U.S. Marine, a woman, a retired U.S. Marine, cut her head off with his stupid fucking boat. So we're going to get into this story. Richard Stevenson of the Stevenson Crane Company. We're going to talk about this clown show. How bad is it when your own mother, who is the chairman of this big crane company, says, my son has nothing to do with this company? Says he's a vice president, but we know how the whole mama's boy or daddy's boy situation works. So we're going to break down Richie Stevenson, who just looks like I'll go in once again on boat people. How I just think boat people are some of the most sketchy folks in America because they're not rich, but they're richer than you. They're the richest people in your neighborhood. They've got 4 jet skis. Yeah. So I'll go in a little bit on boat people. And I think that Richard Stevenson and this tragic story that's happening here on the Fox River. God, this guy, I can't believe it. All right. Also, our dick of the day is also going to stay close here on at least to the south side of Chicago. Our dick of the day is going to focus on the Beverly neighborhood. The neighborhood of Beverly. Oh, it's a fancy neighborhood here on the south side. Famous people and whatnot, and nice homes and beautiful, lush rolling lawns. And there's a neighbor in Beverly who is renting out her house and turning it into a jazz club on weekends. So we'll talk about her in our Dick of the Day segment. Also, a very interesting new study suggests something radical only, 10 years ago? And I'll share it with you. I want to talk about coaches' sons. I want to talk about, in light of, the Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. His son earlier in the week, or maybe it was even last weekend at this point, his son, had a situation and mom got hurt. And Andy Reid was kind of thrown under the bus, the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, because of his almost dismissive way of talking about the Eric Bieniemy situation, as the Chiefs reported to camp earlier this week. He said, well, life's going to happen. And he was highly criticized for that. But I want to talk about that, what Andy Reid said, how he was criticized for being dismissive. But then I want to take a little bit of a deeper dive into the history of head coaches and fathers. Now, if you listen to the show for a long time, you know that head coaches and fatherhood, I should say. If you listen to the show for a long time, we used to do a death segment where we'd go through the list of people who died on this day, celebrities, famous people. And then I would just have fun and I would decide whether or not they would go to heaven or hell. And one of the rules was, if you're a dead football coach, you're going straight to hell, right? So that was kind of a joke. But one of the reasons for me making that joke and making that grand assumption that all head football coaches are pieces of shit with very few exceptions comes from their disturbing history of relationships with their children, most notably their sons. So we'll talk about that. I want to get into that. That'll be a bit of a lengthy segment today. We'll talk about the history of cursed head coaches' sons, or are the kids cursed, or are the coaches just really bad fathers? I don't know. We'll see. Apparently the good ones raise up other head coaches. Maybe that's it, because there are a lot of father-son head coaches, but I didn't ask AI about that. So we'll do 3 videos and we'll do everything. Okay, so we got a whole bunch of stuff we're going to get into today. There's dead Gen X words. Maybe that, if we got time. I wanted to do a segment on Gen X phrases. Yeah, I found one of those stupid, hey, here's 15 Gen X, and I thought this will be fun to talk about. Maybe I'll start using them again. So if we have time, we'll go through that. And quite frankly, I don't know what time is today because the rain is coming, and we'll see if we stay on the air. Gotta go food shopping. Food shopping. Oh my God. We at the very least, we're supposed to play bags tonight. We're hoping we go play bags. Okay, we got a lot to do, so let's get started here. Welcome to whatever this is. It's me, Pugs. Welcome, I guess. Torma, there you go. I knew it. There were people that I wanted to say hi to. There's Toronto. There's Ed. Let's see here. What else do we have? Ed's mad at me. Ed, we did something with Facebook. We got answers to my Facebook problem. We found answers. Apparently it was me. Apparently it's me playing unlicensed stuff. So, all right. Let's see. Anybody else? Peter says that I've piqued his interest in the Nolan Wells story. Well, all of our interests should be piqued because it's a disturbing story for any number of reasons. All right, let's see here. Sorry. How are we gonna do this? I don't know where to start here. I don't know whether to start with something. All right, we'll put that. We'll give you the scroll of heroes. And then, sorry. Well, all right. All right, let's start with the Iran water poisoning. Why not? Let's just hit the ground running. Let's do this. Is Iran poisoning our water supply? So this is the big story that came out this morning, at least I saw it. A number of municipal water plants in Minnesota have been the victim of hackery over the past couple of weeks now, as we're learning, but most recently a couple of days ago. This has now been well, I'll tell you what, you don't need me. Let me read you the story. Okay. So here we go. Because remember, if you've spent any time online today, the Iranians are poisoning our water supply. Just remember that. See, again, I'm going to reiterate the problem with all of this, especially when it comes from the feds in this day and age. It lacks all credibility for me. I have zero faith in any institutions anymore. But our U.S. spy agencies, who, quite frankly, I don't think I've ever had any real faith in, the U.S. spy agencies are now suspecting that Iran has launched some really, the minute I moved away. The minute I moved away. All right. Oh, guys. Yeah, I'm getting it. And that means that I was gone for a while. How's the sound now? Yeah, I was gone for a while. Jeez Louise. Okay, I'm back. Thank you. All right, that's good. All right, so we'll just forget about it. We'll start again. I'm sorry about that, guys. I drifted away for 1 second and it happened. I thought I fixed it. I didn't. Thank you to everybody. The people who text me, you're the ones who really let me know. And if you think, oh, somebody else is texting me, no, you text me too. Because when two texts come in at the same time, I'm like, okay, sound is fucking gone. That's a me thing. I'm probably doing something wrong. It's just, All right, I was gone 1 minute. All right, what do you say we reset? Okay, we're going to reset. All right, let's talk about Iran poisoning the water supply of the good folks of Minnesota. How's that? That was pretty good, right? There we go. So the story, as I woke up this morning to read it, is that good people of Minnesota, are they good people, though? I think that depends on who you voted for. I personally love Minnesota. I think Minnesota is so underrated as a state. And they like it that way. Minnesota's like, it's nice here. So when are you leaving? That's Minnesota. And I kind of like that about Minnesota. Minneapolis, St. Paul is a very cool area. Although, in recent years, I guess Minnesota has always been the flashpoint for a lot of our more divisive political issues. But let's just forget about all that. And let's just think of the good people of Minnesota as another put upon member of the great peasant state of we, the United States, working class. So the people of Minnesota, they got these water districts. You got water tanks. You got something like in my hometown of Orland Park, we got big giant golf balls on a tee. It's pretty cool. Gotta be honest. My hometown, I like it. I love that our water towers all look like golf tees. But those districts, right? Those are the people that make sure that the water comes to you clean and fresh, and most importantly, comes to you, right? It's not about whether or not some, Antifa people or Iranians are going to climb up into that tower and drop cyanide tablets into the water supply, which is a completely different thing than hacking it. No. Basically, what happened was the mechanisms that regulate I'll tell you what, I'm going to read it to you, okay? Let me give you the story, and then I'll tell you exactly what happened there in Minnesota, because if you're on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, you luckies who are on Facebook, if you're on any of those things, you're reading that Iran is poisoning the water supply, okay? And that is not happening. Grego, man, my buddy Grego, I love Greg so much. He's so funny. And he's like the one guy that I just allow to be that, and then I'm still going to be like, nah, he's okay. He's fine. He was calling for the nuclear annihilation of Tehran today because he's of the belief that Iranians poisoned the water supply in Minnesota. So let's get to the real story. Let's find out exactly what this is. And again, whether or not we believe it, because this entire thing is coming from our government. And as I've said many times, I just have no faith in any of our institutions anymore. Any of them. Not just governmental because of this specific administration. No, I don't. I will say that I almost just gave credit to the Supreme Court, and I can't do that. All right, so let's get into the real story about what's happening here with Minnesota. Okay, so this comes to us from the Washington Post, which I don't know. I think still, even though I have no faith in the institutions, I still think reading a story or going off facts published in the Washington Post is better than half the shit you people share on Twitter from whomever. Charlie Kirk, Benny Johnson, and Jason Dorcas Fear that you guys are getting your information from. So we're going with the Washington Post. Here we go. By the way, happy Friday. I'm in a good mood. I know probably I'm getting ramped up because people get ginned up. How long have you been hearing me say this? The whole game of being in America of the last 25 years has been, how do we gin the people up? Because when the people are ginned up, they can be controlled because they're scared and they don't know what to do. So they're going to look to somebody who they think knows what to do. And when that person presents themselves and says bullshit like, I'm the only one who can do this, they are so desperate and frightened at this point that here you have it. So there's people out there who think the water supply in Minnesota is being poisoned. All your stupidest coworkers. That's who it is. Intelligence agencies have now assessed that Tehran was likely behind a coordinated attack on over 30 municipal water systems in the state of Minnesota. U.S. intelligence agencies have assessed that Iran was likely behind coordinated cyber attacks and municipal water systems in Minnesota this week, according to U.S. officials. The FBI is investigating the attack, which comes as a 5-month-old military conflict between the United States and Iran threatens to escalate. Though intelligence agencies have not definitively concluded that Tehran is responsible. No, but that's fine. Twitter, that's fine for Greg. Greg's like, what? Definitively? Nah, I'm going with my gut on this one. That's what you get with the hammer. The FBI is investigating the attack, which comes as a 5-month-old military conflict between the United States and Iran threatens to escalate. Though intelligence agencies have not definitively concluded that Tehran is responsible, the hack follows urgent warnings by federal cybersecurity officials that Iran for months has been targeting internet-exposed devices that control operations at water, wastewater, and energy facilities in the U.S., and in some cases, causing disruptions. Okay, so that's what's going on. They're fucking with our water system. Now, how do we get from those facts? And by the way, I believe those facts. Iranian hackers are absolutely messing with our stuff. They absolutely are. So those are the facts. So how do we get from those facts to Iranians have physically transported poison, infiltrated our water supplies at the municipal level, and are poisoning Americans? How do we get that far? What do you think happens in a hacking? Do you think that things are physically, carbon-based or sentient individuals are somehow physically transported through the hacking? Or do you think that maybe they're just going to make it, weird for you the next time you flush and you'll say, hey, water pressure seems to be a little bit down. Which do you think is more likely? They're fucking with us. These are easy, low-hanging fruit targets. They have nothing to do with poisoning our water supply. Don't be stupid. All right. So what are the real world effects of this hacking? Because they're hacking with us. I'm telling you right now in the most easily explainable way, here are the real world effects, okay? Fucking with us. A little bit of inconvenience. A nuisance attack. That's what this is. This is not poison in the Minnesota water supply. They are fucking with timing things. They are locking workers out of their passwords, allowing them, not do their everyday things. Water pressure might be affected. Here you go. I'll just give you a list of things that are happening here. The real world effects on local residents in Minnesota has been minimal and brief, if at all. It's not even something that is affecting the public. It is affecting the operation. No water contamination. Let's make this perfectly clear. There has been no water contamination. The Minnesota Department of Health has confirmed there is no indication that the physical water supply has been altered, poisoned, or made unsafe. Hackers targeted remote management software and changed passwords to lock out operators. In response, cities like Plymouth and South St. Paul shifted to manual operations to keep clean water flowing seamlessly. In the small city of Bram, this is the state of Minnesota, all right? This is what they're saying is really happening here, okay? So the poisoning of the water is being completely blown up by the state of Minnesota, who, wouldn't it be in their best interest to be the ones that were ringing the alarm bell if they thought millions of their population were about to drop dead from cyanide water? Well, not if you think that all politicians, and especially liberal Democrats up there in Minnesota, are evil. I guess then you're thinking this is what they want. This is how they're in cahoots with the Iranians. Shut up. In the small city of Bram, hackers briefly shut down a well pump, prompting a short-lived request for residents to conserve water until the backup systems were activated 90 minutes later. Inconvenience. I was going to take a shower, and now I got to wait 90 minutes? Oh, these Iranians, let's nuke Tehran! This is all they can do. This is all they can do are the easy, low-hanging fruit, locking workers out of their passwords, changing water pressure levels. We'll get into more of that. By the way, they haven't even said changing water pressure levels. I don't know where I got that from. I'm just saying. While the FBI is investigating similar automated disruptions across 7 states, the primary public impact is limited to temporary water pressure loss or localized precautionary boil notices, none of which have been put into effect. So they're even saying, they're like, look, even if this was worst case scenario, I mean, you'll have momentary water pressure loss as we do other things. And then, worst case, we're going to ask you to boil water. But, that happens when it rains too hard. So let's hold off on annihilating an entire city of people just because you're upset and got some bad fucking info on Twitter, huh? The internet rumors claiming an attempt to poison the population are inaccurate. Cyber intelligence reports from agencies like the CISA explain that these adversaries look for easy targets, specifically small utility plants, using internet-exposed programmable logic controllers, PLCs. They're looking for these things, like the stupid, unnecessary things, redundancies that just make a worker's daily routine a little bit more inconvenient. Once again, the working man is fucked. Okay, I'll read that again. Let's see here. Cyber intelligence reports from agencies like CISA explain that these adversaries look for easy targets, specifically small utility plans using internet-exposed programmable logic controllers, or PLCs, with default passwords. Their goal is nuisance, disruption, create panic, block remote controls, or display political messages on equipment screens. There is no possible way for any chemical deployment. How would you poison the water with their hacking? What you could do is, you can make the guy who, make sure the water pressure is right. You make that guy's little computer screen look at a picture of a guy sucking a dick for a minute. That's why we're gonna annihilate Tehran. These guys have nothing. They have nothing. All right, there you have it. So don't worry about the Minnesota water, okay, you guys? Just stop it with that. Look, if it becomes serious, I'd be the first guy. Watch this weekend. We're going to see, there's going to be fist fights at Sam's Clubs over torn open, 24 packs of Ozarka. People are going to be throwing hands. Your aunt's gonna send you an email. She's going to tell you that you need to bathe in Hinckley and Schmidt now. Hinckley and Schmidt. Who profits from all that? The water companies. The water companies. Don't even get me started on the water companies. To begin with, I grew up in a world where water was free. And I don't want to sound like one of these Gen X a-holes that we see all over social media, but we did drink from hoses. And here's the thing. We didn't think anything of it. It is shocking to me when people now confront me and they're like, did you guys really drink from hoses? I'm like, you think that's the worst thing we did? Oh my God. So our water's going to be fine. They cannot poison the water through a computer hacking. Okay. Now, are there other real terror concerns that we have with insurgent groups who are funded by the Iranian regime? Yes, of course there are. But those aren't as easy for us to digest as if you turn on your faucet, you're going to die. Trump's right. Let's just annihilate. All right, so there you go. That's the Minnesota water hacking situation. It ain't happening. All right. Let's see. What else do we want to do here? How about this one? Oh, good. Look at this. Well, hold on. Guys, there's going to be longer transitions between the segments because I'm trying to do some different things. That's all. Oh, you also may notice, my White Sox are still in first place, but I'm not wearing the first place hat. You want to know why? Yeah, I'm going to tell you why. Had this conversation earlier, yesterday, as a matter of fact. So when my Chicago White Sox, formerly known as the worst team in the history of baseball, when my Chicago White Sox went into first place earlier this year, shocking everybody, myself, the entirety of Major League Baseball, when they went into first place, I was wearing the hat as sort of a novelty. Like, okay, I'll wear the hat as long as they're in first place, but this isn't. Okay, so here's why I'm not wearing the hat. They are still in first place. I'm not wearing the hat because I have gone mentally about my White Sox from this is so cool. I can't believe we got all the way up to first place to we're a first place motherfucking team. Everybody get out of the way. All right. That's why I'm not wearing the White Sox hat anymore. Besides, I didn't like the way it made my head look. I'm not an attractive man. That was just very problematic from the beginning. All right. What else we got here? Oh, you know what? Here, I'll do this. I'll mention this. This is going to piss some people off. What's going on with the Texas election, you guys, huh? What's going on down there? Fox News put out a poll today that should be shocking to everybody. James Tallarico is leading now Ken Paxton, who's probably enjoying his Mexican beachfront property. Or is he at the Hawaii estate today? I think he's at the Hawaii estate. Tallarico has taken this is a Fox News poll. Tallarico has taken a lead over Ken Paxton in the Texas Senate race. But that's not the real shocking thing. The real shocking thing is that Hinojosa is now 1 point behind Abbott. Whew. All right, there you go. Just for some of my Texas friends, I just wanted to make sure that I did that story today. For some of my... Actually, for a number of because there are I did that story for some of my Texas friends who will be happy. But mostly I did it for a lot of my Texas friends who are going to be like, what the fuck? We're a sinking ship. There is something happening. There is a blue wave. And I can remember one of my friends now who's he's a denier. He's a denier that anything will change. He's very MAGA, but he's a good dude. I remember back a number of years ago, the great armada of new people that moved to Texas from California and other places up north, and especially, during the pandemic, to follow Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is an example of one of these people who gave up on the crazy liberal places and then came down here. And my friend was one of these guys that was like, see, even every regular person in America is leaving these liberal cities. They're coming to Texas. And I remember thinking, no, it's taxes. They're moving here for the taxes. You think they're suddenly going to be like pro-life? You think all of these people coming to Texas are just going to have these values of you and grandpapa on your rural Texas farm? No, Texas is changing, and we are seeing that. And I'm telling you, all of you folks, I'm just old enough to remember Ann Richards and know that things are a pendulum and that shit swings back and forth. And I wouldn't sleep on Tallarico coming out of Texas. He's all wimpy. He's like totally non-Texan. But then again, George H.W. ran as a Texan, and he was the wimp. I don't know. Anyway, Fox News put out a poll today. It's got Hinojosa 1 point behind Abbott and Tallarico up 3 over the vacationing Ken Paxton. All right. What else? Let's see. We talked about the water. All right. So should we do the okay. Yeah. All right, we've been following this story now for a couple of days this week. I guess following the story. Here's the problem. I've been following it. I just haven't been doing shows. So my apologies. In my head, I have been talking endlessly about the Nolan Wells situation. What did I lose? Did I lose something? Oop, hold on. See, there's that 2 in a row. Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought it was. We're rolling. All right. Let's start this again. We'll start it again. There we go. All right. So the Nolan Wells story. I've been following this for about a week. We haven't really done a whole bunch of it here on the show. I guess, as I said earlier, it's because we haven't been doing a lot of shows. But trust me when I tell you that I am all in following this story. I think it's the most fascinating story that's happening in America, and it's way more interesting than the Iran war. I'll tell you that. And it's because of I'm watching it. I'm watching this story sort of evolve on social media and on mainstream media, news, cable news, whatever, watching people talk about it. Just to bring you up to speed, Nolan Wells was an 18-year-old, Nolan Wells was an 18-year-old boy in Mississippi who went out partying with his friends on the 4th of July, 18 years old. Where are you going? You're going out to party, okay? Shouldn't think anything of it. Goes out with a bunch of his friends. They got a boat. They're going out to this place called Horn Island, which is off the coast of Mississippi there. I can't pretend to be familiar with the area. I am not. But I've looked at the pictures, and Horn Island is a party place. If you have a lake, or if you are familiar with the lake rat lifestyle, you know that there is always a cove or an area where people party. For North Texas, that might be any number of places called Party Cove at the lakes that are there, right? We have the same thing in Michigan and Wisconsin. So that's basically what Horn Island is for young people. They all go out to the island. They anchor their boats. Everybody's there drinking and partying. It sounds like an incredible time, especially if you're 18. I don't know if you're my age. I don't know. How far is the bathroom? No, I need air conditioning for the bathroom. I'm going to be in there a while. So yeah, but for kids, kids will go out, they'll party, they'll go nuts. They're 18, they're college freshmen, So, okay. So that's who Nolan Wells is. Gets on this boat, goes out to Horn Island, parties all day, doing whatever it is that we think 18-year-olds do. At about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, one of the dudes, Bart, whose boat it is, Bart recognizes a serious problem with the boat, and that is that there is a bilge pump failure, which is causing water to seep into the boat. It's about 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I don't know. They've been out there now for about 4 hours, partying. He then decides, okay, we got to get this boat back, but maybe before that, we're going to need to get it towed. So let's get a tow arranged. So that's what Bart is doing. Meanwhile, the other guys, a number of dudes, I think it was 4 dudes. And I don't know if there is a girl who was in the boating party or a girl who is just really close friends with this group of guys. So I don't know. All I know for sure is that there were 4 guys that used Bart's dad's boat and went out to Horn Island to party, and Bart discovered there was a problem with the bilge. Then did the things that his dad probably told him to do in this situation. Okay, here's the phone number. You got to call the sea tow. You got to tell them this. You're going to need to be prepared to give them the coordinates and tell them exactly what's right. So Bart's doing his thing. That's what we heard yesterday in the phone call. But in the background of that phone call, we can clearly hear that there is something happening. There is some kind, it's not just the normal background noises of teenagers partying. It seems to be there is a struggle to keep somebody alive. We hear very clearly here. I guess I didn't want to have to play that again, but we will. Okay, so I'll play you that. We heard it yesterday. Give me a second here, guys. I apologize. All right, here it is. So we heard this yesterday. Very clearly, you can hear someone struggling in the background, or at least people very concerned about the welfare of someone in the background. There it is. Hold on. Hold on, guys. All right, one more time.
Detail assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello?
What'd you say? Hey.
Yes. How far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down.
What did we just hear?
I don't know, Nancy. Exactly. What did we just hear? That was Nancy Grace who got a hold of that. Congratulations to her. This is her lane. That's what she does. Nancy Grace does this as what, this kind of, seriously. Do you notice she got sidelined for like the last 10 years? She was as big as they come. When we hear we're, all interested in the missing child or the guy who killed his wife or, whatever. This situation brought Nancy Grace back. Anyway, so we heard that there. You heard that there is clearly something going on. And I know that whenever it provides the text like that in the video, we are then reading the words and hearing the words at the same time. But I've heard that audio without the text there, and it clearly sounds like they are saying, don't die, don't die. And I also clearly hear a girl say, Nolan, wake up. So now here's the problem with this story. And before we do that, let me give you the absolute latest here. Okay. So, cause that's the point of this update. Don't want to get too far downstream in what my new thoughts are, waxing poetic when there are real important things that need to be talked about. Okay. So Nolan did not return home with those guys. Nolan was left behind on Horn Island. His friends took the boat, got it towed, whatever, went back, went about their business. The next day, Nolan's parents are like, hey, where's Nolan? And they're like, oh, we left him on the island. He met some chick, Katie. They're like, that doesn't sound like Nolan. So the police get involved, and they fairly easily discover Nolan's body there on Horn Island. The police immediately say that there is no sign of foul play. and that, or no obvious signs of foul play, but they will have an autopsy. And so they did the autopsy. And after they did the autopsy, then Nolan's family, and the advice of their newly acquired attorney, Ben Crump, who I don't know if he is a good man somewhere in there and I'm misinterpreting all of this, or if he just seems like someone who wants to just tear us apart for his own benefit, for his own financial gain. I don't know. I can't figure it out. We'll see how this plays out. I'll let you know how I feel about Ben Crump. He's a smart man. He's a very smart guy. And he definitely seems to know how to push buttons. So anyway, Ben Crump was hired by the family, and the family said, well, we want to do our own independent autopsy. And the Mississippi state said, okay. They did fine. By the way, fun fact, you know that the autopsy, the independent autopsy, this stuff isn't free. See, this is the Ben Crump factor. Can I tell you, you know who paid for the independent autopsy for Nolan Wells' family to have sort of a second opinion on whatever the state concludes? Colin Kaepernick. Now, how do you think that Colin Kaepernick got involved in this? Because Ben Crump is a celebrity who goes around when he's not on TV screaming about something, he's at some fancy celebrity cocktail party, meeting people, taking pictures, saying shit to people like Colin Kaepernick. Hey, you know, you could really help some of these people. You know, I know you're on our side. And that's how this happens. This is like Ben Crump probably called Colin Kaepernick and said, hey, want to pay for this? And Colin said yes. So now, you know, the benefit of having Ben Crump, right? I guess. I just feel that much of what he does. I do not want to get involved in what I see is an absolutely frivolous racial undertone to the Nolan Wells story. We just heard what the story was. We just heard audio of 18-year-old Nolan Wells clearly in distress. We clearly heard his peers, his friends, whatever, struggling to make some sort of conscious connection with him. Wake up, don't die, don't die. That is all clear. Okay, no N-words were spoken. No. The second autopsy concluded essentially the same thing that the state had initially said, that there was inconclusive. That signs of foul play were inconclusive, whereas the state seems to be leaning towards this is accidental death. The second autopsy, without saying as much, said, well, whether or not this was violent crime is inconclusive, which is troubling. But essentially, for all we know, they didn't find anything markedly different from what the state found initially. There is a complaint about a missing portion of the neck. This is the second autopsy, the Colin Kaepernick funded autopsy. There was a complaint by them that a piece of the neck of Nolan Wells had been missing for the second autopsy, but that was explained away by just about every coroner that I heard, who said that no, that's normal. That's not like shifty or anything, especially if the state is really looking into whether or not there was, I don't know, a lynching or whatever. The state would need that to continue tests, and any independent outside of the state investigation autopsy would just have to wait. Because remember, there is only one official autopsy happening here, and that is the state of Mississippi. The second autopsy is just simply being performed so that they can use it in court should they decide to make a big thing of this. So there doesn't appear to be anything clearly that would indicate that this was a racially motivated killing of a black boy in the historically racially corrupt state of Mississippi. This is what happens when a black boy goes out on a boat with his white friends. You can't trust them. You can't. That is really the vibe, and without the words, but that is the energy that is being put out from Ben Crump, which is why we got to resist that. I would argue that the very fact that this dude was on the boat with these other white guys shows incredible progress. Would that have been the case in 1975? Would that have been the case in 1965? It certainly would have been the case in 1955 in Mississippi, unless that black kid was swabbing the deck. These people were friends. They hung out together. Is Ben Crump, or are the people who want to really think of this as a racial story, Are they trying to get us to believe that these white friends were so sinister and diabolical that they played the long con on this black kid? What is this, like some weird Stephen King novel where 3 white kids freshman year decide they're going to befriend a black kid and for 4 years make everybody think that they're like super cool Titan buddies and all that, and then they're going to kill them on the 4th of July after they graduate? Doesn't make any sense. They were friends. These were their boys. Now, was he friends with assholes? Probably. I was friends with a lot of assholes. But it doesn't mean that there was any sort of racially motivated attack. And whatever it is that Ben Crump is doing, I'm starting to get the feeling that that's the energy that's being put out. And it really upsets me, because one of the real big problems that I see about America, or whatever the hell it is that's happening in this country over the last 15 years, and I say this as the father of a 17-year-old boy, I am worried about the breakdown of just dudes being dudes together. You know, I always say this about this generation, that, you know, I worry that they spend so much time on their phones and on their screens. And, you know, yes, they're technically, literally technically hanging out with their friends, but they're not in their friends' bedrooms. They're not laying around in somebody's basement listening to records and, you know, and what happens there? Oh, I don't know. Maybe Big Sis is having a sleepover. So now there's a girl that comes down and now you've met somebody new. That shit isn't happening, you know, when you got your little group friends. So I have always, well, not always, but certainly pretty consistently over the last couple of years, expressed a real concern about the social awkwardness of an entire generation of not just men, but children in general. It's almost like, you know, they're all slightly slow, socially retarded by our standards, which again is something else that we need to consider, because these are old school standards. And one thing we know for sure is that old school standards do not stand the test of time. So whatever it is that they're doing now is going to be the norm, no matter how hard we try to fix them or how loudly we point out that it's different from the way we did things. But this, I think, is an example of exactly that coming to its most tragic conclusion. They did not have their boys back. This is not about race. This is about what is wrong with these men, these young men who decided, at least as far as I can tell, and again, we're talking about Nolan Wells, the boat. Let's talk about the situation. The boat is filling with water. The bilge pump isn't breaking. Let's talk about Bart. Bart is who's on the phone there. I think it's Bart. I'm pretty sure it's Bart. Doesn't matter. Let's talk about that dude. That dude is on his dad's boat and it's fucked up. He took out his dad's boat for a weekend with his friends or a 4th of July with his friends. You know, dad was like, don't fuck this boat up or whatever. But this kid seems to be very deliberately trying to be an authority in charge, talking with the sea tow company. He's dialed in because dad is going to kick his ass. Meanwhile, at the very same time, his friend Nolan seems to be dying right there next to him. And that is what all the other friends are doing. What we know is that boat returned to the marina with the tow without Nolan. What we know is that he, in the state that we can hear clearly on the phone, we know that in his state, Nolan's state, where people were saying, stay awake, don't die, Nolan, please. They decided to what? Lay him on the dock and just leave? Now, yesterday when I was talking about this story, I said, look, I've been there. You know, sometimes you just got to bail on the dude. Oh, he's drunk. He's passed out. I just leave him there on the couch. You know, he'll find a way home in the morning. I sort of casually talked about how, yeah, that's what you do. You know, you just leave him. He'll be fine. It's summer. You're 18 years old. You slept on a beach and you had to hitchhike home. That's summer of 2026. But that decision would never have been made if prior to it we were screaming, don't die, stay alive, right? Dude passed out on the couch. Come on, man, let's get out of here. We're leaving. No, man, Tommy's sleeping. Hold on, no, fuck him, let him stay, let's go. That is different That is different than don't die, don't die. What are we going to do? Let's leave him on the dock because my dad's going to kill me. And I have to question what kind of a person would come to that conclusion? And is this just one group of really shitty teenagers? Or is that kind of what they think like now? They're like, well, maybe we can get it. We don't need to get in trouble and cover your ass and plausible deniability and all of that. All right, let's go into some of the new updates. Okay, key investigative updates today. The state autopsy has been sealed. Okay, so the autopsy results are finalized, but they have been sealed. The Mississippi State Medical Examiner has finished the official autopsy. And by the way, it is important to make that distinction that there is an official autopsy, and then there's the independent one that's been created simply to argue with it in court. The Mississippi State Medical Examiner has finished the official autopsy. District Attorney Angel Myers McGrath confirmed that the findings will remain sealed from the public and the family until the completed case file is formally presented to a grand jury. So that's very telling, right? This is an update. The authorities have they've now finished the autopsy, right? The neck piece and all that stuff. They've finished it. They've concluded it, and they immediately sealed it. They finished it, and they said, we're not telling you what it says. We're not even telling the family what it says. We're going to wait until we got a bow on this, and then we will present it to a grand jury. And then you will be able to learn. People are not taking to that well. People are like, what are they hiding? And I'm like, well, that's the system. That's how it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to know it. The grand jury is supposed to be the ones who look at this without any kind of outside noise and with clear eyes and your full hearts can't lose, that whole thing. And the grand jury is supposed to be the first people to hear. So this is not some grand conspiracy on the part of the state of Mississippi, acknowledging, of course, the grand history of racial strife and corruption in that state. But again, as I said earlier, at some point, don't we look around and go, holy shit, we are different than we were in 1985. We are different than we were in 1975, 65, 55. This was a black dude who seemed to be Mississippi, right? You think, well, hey, you blacks, you stay over there, right? That is not Mississippi anymore. These were white kids with a black friend. Okay. Anyway, the state is going to seal it and they'll present it to a grand jury, which is telling because it tells me that the state thinks there's somewhere else to go with this. If the state's autopsy had concluded definitively that there was no foul play and that this was an accidental death, then they would say that. They would say, here's our results. But because of this statement here, Angel Myers, District Attorney Angel Myers confirmed that the findings will remain sealed from the public and the family until the complete case file is formally presented to a grand jury. The fact that they are hiding it from the family tells me that they believe that the results of this will please the family. So they are willing to keep it absolutely lid tight, quiet now before they're going to need the grand juries, to sort of really allow them to hold the big press conference and then do whatever they're going to do. I think they're going to hold some of these friends responsible. And I think that phone call that we just heard is going to be a big part of the reason the state of Mississippi will bring, at the very least, homicidal negligence charges against some of these kids who, again, had a friend that they were saying, don't die, don't die, don't die, and yet moments later just left that friend on a dock. The family is reviewing the distress audio. Ben Crump's team, they're representing Nolan Wells' family. People who are just, my God love those people. Think of it. Their son, 18-year-old son, good-looking boy, athletic boy, graduated high school, wasn't he going on to play college football at some small, tiny little school? He's not like going to Alabama, but you know what I mean? He had a life. There was shit in front of him, and now all of a sudden, because he went away on 4th of July to party with his friends, now he's never coming back. So think about this family. We can turn our nose up and we can have serious questions about the methods and really the moral foundation of somebody like Ben Crump, but please don't let that spill onto the family. This family right now is going through something. The family has, through Ben Crump, announced that Nolan, they've hired an independent audio engineer. Okay. They're going to analyze a July 4th Marine distress call. That's the call that we just heard. To sea tow from a boat taking on water near Horn Island, where Wells was last seen. Local authorities claim witnesses stated Wells was already off the boat when it claimed that he was already off the boat. All right, hold on. The family is going to pay an outside audio engineer to analyze a July 4th Marine distress call. That's the one we just heard, made to sea tow from a boat that was taking on water near Horn Island, where Wells was last seen. Local authorities claim witnesses stated Wells was already off the boat when it left the island. And this is what I'm talking about. They got him off the boat. Don't die. Well, just dump him. I guess we don't care if he dies. Fine. Just die if you want to. My dad's going to be pissed about this bilge pump. The legal team for Nolan's family has also issued subpoenas to Meta and TikTok. We told you about this yesterday. They want to get inside and see everything that was talked about. There's a whole bunch of rumors going around at the very least. Maybe these personal Meta and TikTok things, they'll explain something. What is Meta? What is that Instagram? Is it because I know that a bunch of kids aren't on Facebook. When I think of Meta, I think of Facebook. They're on Instagram, right? That's probably Instagram. The team has successfully issued subpoenas for Meta, TikTok. The platforms have been given 21 days to preserve and hand over GPS data, messaging, photos, and subscriber information tied to Wells' accounts so that they may piece together his final hours. Well, here's the problem there. And this is just me being a dad, right? I'm almost sure that Nolan Wells' cell phone died long before he did. That's just, don't you get that feeling? My kid's phone is always at 22%. I'm like, you seriously want to go out for the night? You're at 22%. They don't seem to care, which is weird because they're also so dependent on, the whole phone thing. Anyway, I don't know that there's going to be any last minute, somebody please help me, texts or whatever from his phone, because I imagine that his phone died. His phone died probably at 2:00 in the afternoon, right? He's a teenager. He forgot to charge it last night. And, he's like, oh, shit, I'm going out to Horn Island. I got 40% at 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock. So I don't know how much is going to be able to be traced, his final moments there with TikTok and Instagram. But okay. All right. So, again, there you have it. We'll be following this and we'll see what it is. But in conclusion, again, I'm going into the weekend now thinking that this is a situation where it sounds to me that the state of Mississippi is getting ready to present a case to a grand jury, a case that I believe the only one that exists that I can see is some kind of manslaughter, negligent homicide against his friends, which, by the way, again, this is what I perceive the state of Mississippi to be doing. That is exactly what Nolan Wells' family wants and what Ben Crump's legal team wants, right? They want this. Or at least that's what they're saying. They don't want this to be ruled accidental. They believe that there is cause to take a look at the actions of the friends. And after hearing what we heard, I agree with it. No matter what I'm saying about Ben Crump and his methods, I do agree that we need to look at the actions of those kids and why they seem to have left their friend on Horn Island to die. All right, that's the Nolan Wells death story update for today. Here you go. Here's another Tony Romo DUI update. Yesterday we looked, I didn't do the Tony Romo video breakdown any favors. If something happened at the point that I started to do it, I kind of lost interest in it. And there was a lot of funny things that I wanted to do, so I apologize. But anyway, yeah, Tony Romo got himself a DUI. Said he was going to visit grandma and grandpa up there in Wisconsin, which is just the cutest freaking thing. Oh my God, that's adorable. Look, I like Tony Romo. Who doesn't like haters? Haters. People who are designed to just God, that guy sucks. Those people hate Tony Romo. I think normal people are like, yeah, he seems nice. He seems like a nice, happy guy. Tony Romo doesn't go on podcasts going, we should put Biden in prison or, shit like that. There's no reason to hate Tony Romo. He seems nice. Used to know him a little bit when he was, when he was an insignificant quarterback. And then yesterday I told you the story about the time that I had to run cover for him because Carrie Underwood showed up and he had some bar slut sitting on his lap, or at least right next to him. So I like Tony. I had no problem with Tony. But, he's a drunk. He's he's an alcoholic. And again, this is like what I always say to my son when my son acts out in a certain way. I go, look, man. And I'd say this to Tony. Look, you're not special. Don't take this personally. You're a drunk. And you're not like a special drunk. You're a retired NFL football player. You have nothing to do every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. You go to the golf course and you start pounding booze. Because you're 35 years old, you got more money than you ever thought you'd have, and you're bored to tears. And being drunk's fun. And nobody tells you nothing. So you're just going to end up a drunk. And that's what Tony Romo is. He's that guy. All these guys, why do you think they go and do? Why do you think these dudes all show up for these celebrity pro-am golf outings? Because it's free booze for 10 hours on a Saturday. That's why. It's just getting drunk. Everything's about getting drunk. Anyway, so Tony Romo is probably an alcoholic. And I think he's probably been a functioning alcoholic for, a number of years. The man makes more money than God to do like 15 football games. Well, I guess he's doing playoffs and stuff. 20 Sundays, maybe the occasional Saturday night or Thursday, but 20, no, not even Thursdays. Unless they might do Christmas games. My point is this. The man works one day a week for like 6 months out of the year, and he's paid more money than your entire family has ever made since coming to this country. Times 5. So, of course, he's a drunk, okay? So, again, Tony, you're not special, okay? You're Phil Simms. You're Jay Cutler. You're all of them, man. You're who's the other one? Who's the one? I keep wanting to say Bubby Brisker, but we don't remember. Boomer Esiason. You're Boomer Esiason, bro. Tom Brady's going to get a DUI. I'm just saying. I know that sounds crazy. Tom Brady, the man has never eaten a strawberry. Tom Brady's going to get a DUI. You just wait. You're going to see it. I know it's a different category, but, Tiger Woods and golfers in general, they're all drunks because that's what a golf round is. A golf round isn't athletic. You're not pulling muscles. You're not tired. You're hanging out with your dudes. You're bullshitting and you're getting shit-faced. That's what golf is. Anyway, Tony Romo. So Tony Romo has told CBS, here's the update. Tony Romo has told CBS that he is not, he's gonna take care of himself. He's gonna step back from his duties there with Jim Nantz. Oh man. Why? Why's he got to do this? It is July the 31st. So when would he start doing games? Games don't start until September, right? Can't Tony Romo just be quiet for a couple of months and then in September they're going to roll him out and we'll be like, oh yeah, I wonder what's going on with his DUI. And then we'll be like, I don't really care. And we'll be like, yeah, I don't either. I barely care what's going on with Mark Sanchez. There's another example. Mark Sanchez. Nobody's going to care. It's a freaking DUI. And the video went out. And you comported yourself fairly well. I mean, look, anybody in that situation, any celebrity who's being, given field sobriety tests, there's going to be opportunities for the general public, the peasantry, if you will, to mock them, to find things to make fun of them. My favorite part was when the officer told Tony Romo that they had found bottles of Fireball in his backpack, to which Tony Romo indignantly responded, "Ams, any of them's drank." Ams, any of them drank? All right, Tony, just put your hands behind your back. Just Apparently, yes. Apparently, some of them have been drank. Anyway, so I had fun with the Tony Romo thing, but now he's playing the game because Tony Romo is big business. Tony Romo is what, he got $100 million contract, right? Something absurd from CBS. So he's big business, and he's a huge part, and a valuable part, and quite possibly, because of what I said earlier, a beloved part of the CBS NFL thing. Tony Romo and Jim Nantz are their A-team guys. Everybody loves them. When the president of DraftKings is thinking about dropping another $200 million for a Thursday night game, that's when they send Tony Romo over to go shoot a round of golf with the president. He's valuable. These people are valuable. So CBS doesn't want this to fuck up anything, with their whole Tony Romo business, and Tony Romo doesn't either. But the game requires massive public contrition. So here we are today, Tony Romo still playing the old game. The game that I thought was destroyed during the rise of MAGA. The game, of course, was always somebody accuses you of something, take full responsibility, fall on your swords, and just drift off into obscurity because you're a piece of shit who's been accused of something. But MAGA showed us that when somebody accuses you of something, you can just say, "Shut up, piggy," and people will move on. So when I see Tony Romo playing the game like it's, 2005, it's a little sus to me, because this is one of them situations where maybe the game should be stopped. Tony Romo is going to take a step back from his duties. He's going to seek some kind of help. What that is, I don't know. The details weren't all that clear. But what kind of fucking help is Tony Romo? And again, can we establish that apparently whatever help he is going to be receiving is going to be so intensive, so consistent, and he is going to be so deliberately focused on it that he can't work one day a week for 5 months next year? What are we doing? What the fuck? Just shut up about it. This is a story from the second to last week of July 2026. Do you think we're still going to be obsessing on the Tony Romo body cam in 3 weeks? No, but they're playing the game. Putting it out there. Look at Tony. Tony, we here at CBS, we just want Tony to get the help that he thinks he needs. We don't think he needs it because, quite frankly, this is screwing us. We were going to fly him to Paris. We thought we were going to do a cross promotion with FIFA. They were going to do some kind of advertising during halftime of our football game. But this fucks us for sure. That's not good. But we hope that Tony gets the help that he needs. He's going. That's the game. They say that. Whether he actually does it, I don't know. But People Magazine puts a big thing there, and it's like, Tony fighting his way back. And it's all part of the fucking game. And as we've seen with, celebrity Hollywood junkie culture, those People Magazines fighting his way back always ends with him naked hanging in a Vegas motel room. Sad news today as Hollywood star and troubled junkie was found. So it's all a game. It's all a bullshit game. And honestly, with Tony Romo making the announcement that he's going to be stepping back from his duties at CBS now to seek treatment for things that he feels are more important, my family and blah, 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 and all that stuff. Bit shocking to me. I would have thought Tony would have just shut up for a couple of weeks and then everything would be back to normal because what the fuck? It's just a DUI. And he was fairly nice. There you go. There's your Tony Romo update. Tony Romo stepping away from CBS to seek the help that he so seriously needs. Okay, and again, Tony Romo, whether or not he's an alcoholic or not, because, I like to put things into boxes and I make those boxes sort of there's a scale of seriousness. We do this with mass shootings and, I'm far more concerned about the box of mass shooting that has a guy going, Allah Akbar, and just killing people at a mall than I am about, the backyard barbecue party outside Atlanta that gets strafed with gang violence. I'm not concerned about that box because I'm not going to be at that backyard party. I might be at the mall when the guy goes, Allah Akbar, and does that. So boxes, put things in boxes. Tony Romo's alcoholism isn't the serious alcoholism box. May have built into that. Like, he might be full blown, but I don't know that if Tony Romo was like managing a Tires Express, if he was like the regional Kenosha manager of Tires Express, instead of being Tony Romo, I don't know that he'd necessarily be an alcoholic. I think that he's an alcoholic because of the culture that he has been a major part of over the past 20 years of his life. Thank you. So I don't know, he may not even need help. He might just go, well, maybe pickleball. Maybe I could do pickleball instead of golf. Do they drink in pickleball? No, that's a bunch of Ozempic people, right? Okay, pickleball, Tony. Leave the golf clubs behind. Pickleball. That's where you go. All right, let's see here. What else are we doing? We did the Nolan Wells. All right, why not? Let's do coaches and their kids. I wanted to talk about this. NFL coaches and their kids. The tragic history of NFL coaching and fatherhood. All right, let's do this. The tragic history of NFL coaching and fatherhood. Now, we're talking about this week because Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy has suffered a family tragedy, and thankfully, there is no fatality here. But make no mistake, it is a familial tragedy. Yeah. Within this family, it's never going to be forgotten the time Junior shot Mom. Okay? So it's pretty big. And Bieniemy's going through some shit. Obviously, clearly, his son shot his wife. Mom's going to be okay, I guess. And that's good. As far as the son, I don't know. Let's not really talk about him. But let's talk about Eric Bieniemy. Eric Bieniemy, this happened, I believe, on Saturday. He missed practice on Sunday for obvious reasons, but he was back on Monday. Eric Bieniemy, head coordinator, Kansas City Chiefs. He's back. His son, 48 hours earlier, shot his mom, but he was back there in West Virginia or wherever the hell it is that they train. Where do the Kansas City Chiefs train? I think it's like some small college in Missouri. Now that I think about it, but he showed up, and I didn't see any widespread criticism of that. Did you? I mean, I'm trying to think. I'm honestly trying to think. When Eric Bieniemy showed up back at Chiefs training camp, hours after his son shot his wife, there wasn't like a whole lot of people going, "What the fuck is he? Would you take care of your family?" And they're also, because the press spoke to Andy Reid, head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, there also wasn't a whole lot of, well, we're going to give Eric all the time that he needs and he can step away and we're going to be just fine, because one of the things that we believe around here in Kansas City Chiefs Nation is that family and tribe come first, and whatever it is that Eric Bieniemy needs to do. He didn't say anything like that. Yeah, the head coach said nice things and then said life happens and we're going to move on. And he's here, and his nose is in the playbook. And, he was away from the Chiefs organization for a year last year. He's back. This is a whole new team. He's got to get his head into the playbook because life happens. That's the attitude. Now, Andy Reid was fairly widely criticized for that soundbite from Chiefs camp. Life happens. And rightfully so. But what's so shocking about that, coming from Andy Reid, head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, or maybe shocking is the wrong word, but stunning, or makes you really think about what he's saying behind the words. What's so that about that is Andy Reid's personal history of tragedy with his own sons. If there is a poster child for modern NFL coaches and how difficult modern NFL coaches, especially successful ones, have found it to be to raise children, it would be Andy Reid. I mean, so I wanted to talk about this, and I want what is it about being a successful, and by successful, I don't mean your team is successful. By successful, I mean you're a fucking coach in the NFL. You are making a coordinator's salary. You are successful. I'm sorry. I know that may not make you, Tom Landry or George Halas or Vince Lombardi, but you make a really good living. You have an incredibly nice life. And there are shit tons of people who do the exact same thing that you do that are way down at junior colleges or Pee Wee League or high schools. So you are successful. If you are a football coach in the NFL, you are successful. Now, of course, whether or not your team is good, that's a whole nother thing. But what is it about being a success at that level that just doesn't lend itself to having children? For years, we have celebrated the football coach. Like I can remember, was it Joe Gibbs of the Washington Redskins back in the 80s? He sleeps in his office. That's his poor wife and kids. They ain't seen him in months. That was like almost celebrated. Like that's what you're looking for in a football coach. And you know what? As a guy who truly at that level only wants my football coach dialed, do you think I give a shit about Ben Johnson's kids? No. I don't care. Look, on some level, I'm like, I hope they're happy and they survive this. But hey, kids, we're going to need your dad's full attention for the next decade or so. It's what we require of them. It's what the job requires. The job requires you to completely ignore your family, to wake up, if you are staying at home, to wake up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning and get into the team facility long before everybody else. Stay long into the night. There's no dinner. Football coaches don't come home and have dinner, certainly not between, where are we at now? Start of training camp, which would be late July, God willing, through February. There's no family dinners. You don't see dad. So maybe that has a lot to do with it. And maybe the fact that it's been celebrated or at least not noted. And it's not like we haven't had these red flags that have popped up over the years where other coaches have, had sons who have done things. Here's an example. Let's go through a list here. I think well, first you know what? Do we need to see Eric Bieniemy's kid? Look, I don't know what's going on with Eric Bieniemy's kid. It's a terrible situation. It's a family situation. Let's talk about the larger issue here. All right, so here we go. Coaches and their sons. Andy Reid is who I brought up first because that was when Andy Reid responds to one of his coaches having a very public family tragedy occur. When Andy Reid is the head coach talking about how he's handling his coordinators, you listen, because Andy Reid has been this guy. Let's see here. Andy Reid is the most frequently cited example involving coaches and their difficulty with fatherhood. Garrett Reid. This was where it first popped up. Garrett Reid was Andy Reid's son. And if you go back to, I don't know, maybe 2015 or something like that, Andy Reid was still in Philadelphia. I think they went like 4-14 or something. It was a terrible, terrible year in Philadelphia. And it was a terrible year in Philadelphia because that summer, Andy Reid's son, Garrett Reid, overdosed and died. Garrett Reid battled a severe long-term heroin addiction. In 2007, going back even further. In 2007, he was sentenced to jail after crashing into another motorist while high on heroin. Tragically, in August of 2012, Garrett suffered a fatal heroin overdose in a dormitory room at Lehigh University. This was during Eagles training camp where he was serving as an assistant. So Garrett Reid was the first one. Don't worry, there's more. So Garrett Reid was Andy Reid's son. Now think about who Garrett Reid was. Andy Reid was the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay. They were important people in the greater Philadelphia metro area. Everywhere Garrett Reid went, somebody went, that's Andy Reid's son. So there was a bit of a Prince of the City kind of vibe that Garrett Reid enjoyed. And he decided to become a junkie. Instead of using those sort of doors that have been kicked open by the high profile and influence of your dad. And I know that there is often negativity with that too, but guess what? Fuck that. Dad makes like $10 million a year. I don't give a shit if people think my dad's a shitty coach. I'm going jet skiing in my backyard. right? So there's good too. So don't give me that it's hard. Garrett Reed chose to be a junkie probably because Andy Reid didn't give a shit about raising his kids. He gave a shit about raising whoever made the 53-man roster for that year for the Eagles. Garrett Reed died of a drug overdose. This was in 2012. He died right there at Eagles training camp, apparently, after battling with junk for so long. Andy Reid, his decision was, I will not be stepping down from coaching to go home and tend to my family and make sure that my son has a life. But if he wants to be a little assistant, he can break down tape. He can come. So right there, a choice was made by Andy Reid in 2012 to, instead of step away from his high profile and tend to his child, Andy Reid decided, well, I can bring the kid here because I ain't going home. So there you go. Then there's Britt Reid. Britt Reid, who is Andy Reid, head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. Britt Reid, another tragic story. Like his brother, Britt struggled extensively with drug addiction and legal trouble. Back in 2007, he was sentenced to jail following a road rage incident involving a firearm and drug possession. Once again, this is another son. This is 2007. So this is the height of Andy Reid, head coach, Philadelphia Eagles. He was already a good head coach. He wasn't like some guy who was he's going to be gone after next year. No, Andy Reid was an established, almost icon level coach there in Philadelphia. And two of his sons, instead of, leaning into that and take advantage of all of the opportunities they have there, they decided to just be junkies and idiots. Britt Reid rolling down a Philadelphia highway while his dad is the head coach of the Eagles, high on drugs, waving a pistol. Britt Reid would later join his father's coaching staff because that's how Andy, again, second son, doing crazy shit, high profile. It's not like this was swept under the rug. Philadelphia, and in the case that we're going to get to here with Britt Reid, the most recent situation, Kansas City media were all over this. Highly embarrassing for the family. Two examples now, two of Andy Reid's sons. He's a terrible father. And is this just because he's a terrible father, or is it because this is what we football fans demand of our head coaches? We demand this, and it's dog eat dog. And when the rubber hits the road, guys, this is a man making a decision for personal glory, being the head coach, over making sure that his children are healthy and lead fruitful lives. So that's why whenever we do the deaths and I go, another football coach died, he's going directly to hell. That's why I say that. Because I've always believed that football coaches are terrible people. And in the case of these instances where we learn about football coaches and their children and their sons, I think that I have plenty of evidence to back up. Britt Reid, once again, like his brother, Britt struggled extensively with drug addiction and legal trouble. In 2007, he was sentenced to jail following a road rage incident involving a firearm and drug possession. He later joined his father's coaching staff, but caused a severe multi-vehicle crash near Arrowhead Stadium in 2021 that critically injured a 5-year-old girl. Britt was found to have a blood alcohol level over the legal limit and served prison time after pleading guilty to driving under the influence. That was 2021. You remember that? That was, Chiefs Nation, man. How good were the Chiefs in 2021? Andy Reid, his go-to for fatherhood is, to bring his troubled son closer to him because he ain't going anywhere. Andy Reid ain't leaving the Chiefs' offices, but if his troubled kid wants to occupy the cubicle right outside the coach's office, that's just fine, and aren't I a good dad? So Britt Reid became a coach, became some kind of executive assistant, a coach. He was a part of the coaching staff with the Kansas City Chiefs, and before a game, as we just learned, driving into Arrowhead Stadium caused an accident because he was already fucking drunk. Middle of the day, or probably early morning, already drunk. Critically injuring a 5-year-old girl. So when Andy Reid is asked about the Eric Bieniemy situation and he just casually dusts it off as, well, life happens. As Ferris Bueller said, it comes at you fast. He's not alone, though. One of the most insufferably preachy, jerk-off phonies in the history of the NFL coaching world is Tony Dungy. Tony Dungy is a fraud. All right. But enough of that. He had a son, James Dungy. At 18 years old, James was sadly found dead in his apartment outside of Tampa, Florida, in what medical examiners ruled a suicide by hanging. Before his death, indications surfaced that James had been struggling, including a prior medical transport for a potential drug overdose. That was another high-profile one. Tony Dungy's kid. Tony, and it was, again, another one of these situations where Tony Dungy never lets an opportunity to talk about how impactful Jesus has been in his life and how that, family and all that is very important. Meanwhile, Tony Dungy down there in where? Indianapolis. He's down there trying to get Peyton Manning another Super Bowl ring, and his kid is shooting junk because daddy doesn't even acknowledge that he exists. Kid goes to every place that kid probably went in Indianapolis. You're Tony Dungy's dad. What's your dad like? And the kid's like, I don't know. I don't know my dad. Did you see it like interviews? I see him in interviews. Is that a clean needle? Because I don't want to use dirty needles anymore. Right? Is that what that's? And there's a number of others. I mean, Bobby Petrino's kid, there's stories there. And I don't want to go, it's too dark. But I was reminded of, me always jokingly dismissing head coaches as being evil. And then Andy Reid responding to the Eric Bieniemy situation as just sort of, well, that's life. Hey, that's life. We move on. I'll tell you what, if the kid wants to leave the gun at home, my advice to Eric would be bring him on staff. Bring the kid on staff. All right, let's see here. What else do we have? Happy Friday to you. I hope you're all having a wonderful Friday. One more time, I'd like to draw your attention to the Scroll of Heroes. Those are my friends here on the 31st day of July who have helped support this kind of talk radio. Doesn't exist anywhere else because I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm just a dude. Just a guy who's tired of this bullshit. All right, what else are we going to do here? Let me see here. Move. Never rained. You guys, 2:00. Never rained. What's going on with that? God. All right. I don't want to do this story again. I don't want to do. Yesterday, this was the problem. I had this story, and I don't want to do this story. I don't know why I don't want to do this story. Let's do the story. I don't want to do this. Oh, my God. All right. So here in Illinois, we got a lot of lakes. We are lake people. We are, first of all, we've got the Great Lake there. We got Lake Michigan. That's pretty much Big Mama. That's Big Mama. Going out on a lake? Yeah. Big Mama? No. One of the million other lakes that we have. We got a lot of lakes. And we got rivers. It's a very lakey and river area, as one would assume the upper Great Lakes region might be. And we have a thing here called the Chain of Lakes and the Fox River. The Fox River creates something, a recreational area here outside of Chicago called the Chain of Lakes. The Fox River is the main culprit of what we're going to be talking about here. And let me just go on record right now as stating that I hate rivers. I hate rivers. If you think that lake trash are river trash, man, let me tell you something. River trash, first of all, do you know the difference between a river and a lake? Okay, here's the problem. If I have a house on a river and we engage in water fun, because that's like, especially like up in Janesville, Wisconsin, they got the Rock River through there and everybody's like, oh, we got summer homes on the river. I'm like, why? What? Here's the problem with a river. If you've got a pier and you go and you jump off the pier in front of you're in front of the river, you just like be treading water, and I don't know, you realize after like 30 seconds, you're like a mile from your pier because the river will you can't fight the current. A lake? Shit. I just jump off the pier. That lake ain't moving anywhere. Anyway, I'm a lake guy. I prefer lakes. Rivers are difficult. Rivers are a young man's game. I think it's because I used to like rivers when, I was younger. The Rock River, Janesville, Wisconsin, we used to go to. Never been on the Fox River. Never been on the Fox River. I've only been on the Chain of Lakes area just once, and I don't think I was on the Fox River, but that's where this story takes us to. There is a dude named Richard Stevenson. He is the heir apparent, as Christopher Moltisanti might say, to a fairly high-profile crane and industrial services company. Are involved in major multi-billion-dollar skyscraper construction and dig. So this guy, he's the heir apparent. Actually, now that we're starting to look at who he is, he's the dimwit Fredo's son, who is just going to inherit everything. And let's be honest, he's selling. He is selling to the first person because he's never worked a day in his life. That's who Richie Stevenson is. Here, let's get a look at him. This is the guy. Pics of Richard. Oh, yeah, look at him. Yeah. All right, there we go. There he is. That's our culprit here. Richard Stevenson. Looking good there in his little orange jumpsuit. There he is. Here he is. He's walking. This is him. He's lake trash. Looks like Ray. Would you know that this dude was like worth millions? This is why I say that boat people are... He's not Elon Musk, okay? This guy is not the Stevenson, crane fortune. They're rich people. They're rich. They're medium level to upper level rich people, or at least he is. I don't know. His mother's probably got a lot more, and he will inherit it at some point. Maybe not now, but, he was set to. Anyway, he's probably taken care of in a very upper middle class way. He's got a boat. Here's what he likes to do with his 3 DUIs in the last 10 years. Yeah, got a boat license. Apparently, you can still get a boat. I only drink on the roads. I don't drink while I'm operating a boat. Why, that would be foolish. When I'm driving, though, he's got 3 DUIs. So here's what he does. Like I said, he's probably not all that involved in the company because the company right now, Stevenson Crane, there in the western suburbs of Chicago, they're saying he doesn't really do anything here. He's not one of us. I guess his official title there with the company is like vice president of marketing and sales and blah, 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 or whatever. But he doesn't do anything because he spends most of his days out there on the Fox River on his obnoxious boat. Yeah, he's one of these guys with an obnoxious boat. If you've spent any time on lakes, you know that there are people who put way too much into their boat being their brand, being their image. This guy had a pontoon boat with massive... Here, let me see if I can tell you exactly what this guy had. He had a pontoon boat, which is supposed to be a slow-moving, hey, let's all go on the pontoon and get wasted, and we're only going to be moving it like less than half a mile per hour, so what's the worst that can happen? He had a tricked-out pontoon boat with 3 gigantic outboard engines. Here, where's the boat? Here. You know what? I'm not going to look for it. Let's just let AI do it. Hey, AI, do me a favor. Tell me about Richard Stevenson's boat, his pontoon boat. Tell me about the engines, the speed, and all of that shit. Thank you, AI. All right. Okay, so here I'm going to get... All right, well, look, AI just told us the whole story. So here's the story of this guy. This guy doesn't go to work. He just got an obnoxious boat that he races up and down the Fox River, and for months and months, and even last year, people have been complaining about this idiot in his boat going way too fast, not observing wake zones. Wake zones are where you got to shut your engines. You can't create a wake because there are people who are sitting still. This guy has been a drunk idiot on the lake forever, and he's probably entitled because he's got big crane money or whatever the fuck. But again, he's not like super Trump rich. He's not like yacht rich. He's just lake trash rich. And these are the worst people. On July 25th, 2026, he crashed into another vessel on the Fox River. He's 45-year-old Richard Stevenson. He faces charges of reckless homicide and aggravated driving under the influence. This following the fatal collision near McHenry, Illinois. Witnesses and passengers report that Stevenson was speeding at roughly 80 miles per hour in a designated no-wake zone. All right, look, if you have any familiarity with lake life, 80 miles an hour in a no-wake zone. Now, the Oh, no, it's never acceptable. That would never be acceptable because when you approach a no wake zone, you know clearly, even if you miss the things that say no wake zone, you clearly see that things are different now on the lake, that people are anchored and that the people are in the water and that there's guys floating on jet skis and rafts. You know when you are entering a no wake zone. This guy wasn't first day on the lake. This guy has been on the lake and been a nuisance on the lake for quite some time. He knew there was a wake zone there, and he went through it at 80 miles an hour, probably tossing fireball bottles up. By the way, fireball. This guy's accused of being drunk on fireball. The little fireball shots, these are the bullshit, white trash alcohol we see for sale at 7-Eleven. Like, I just came up for a Mounds bar, but why not get a shot up? Because I'm a drunk. Who is buying this shit? Well, these idiots. And Tony Romo. Remember? So we learned that Tony Romo's backpack was filled with these little fireball shots. Oh my God. Trashy. All right. So he was pounding fireball shots. He hit 80 miles an hour through a no wake zone. Let's see. Witnesses and passengers report that Stevenson was speeding at roughly 80 miles per hour in a designated no wake zone when he struck a 20-foot crown line boat from behind, riding completely over it, decapitating a 48-year-old woman. 48-year-old former U.S. Marine just sitting in the passenger seat of her husband's boat, anchored in a no-wake zone when this fucking idiot comes ripping through at 80 miles an hour. By the way, at 80 miles an hour, this pontoon boat would need roughly 3 football fields to slow down. But he just barreled right through. He wasn't unconscious. He apparently just thought this was a cool trick that he could probably do. And this would be like a crazy 80s movie. I'm the crazy guy on the boat. The fuck, idiot. A 48-year-old woman sitting in the passenger seat of the Crown Line suffered catastrophic injuries and died instantly. Her husband, who was driving the boat, sustained serious injuries. Another individual also on the boat was hurt. Stevenson's pontoon boat eventually ran aground on the riverbank. Investigators located him nearby in the trees along the shoreline. He was reportedly muttering to himself drunkenly over and over again, "I've fucked it all up. I've fucked it all up." You sure did. You sure did. 4 months. David Haw, who is a very high-profile media personality here in the Chicago area. He is co-host of the morning show. Wait, was it David who did this, or was it? I think it was David Haw. Anyway, doesn't matter. Had been posting and shared a couple of posts. Maybe it's not David. It might be. Anyway, they've been talking about this person for a long time on this lake. People have been talking about this fucking idiot on this lake, and nobody did anything because he's got Stevenson Crane money, and his family, they own half the marina. What do you think we're supposed to do? And that's not what people are kind of starting to realize, that this fucking idiot has been out there terrorizing people on his stupid boat on the Fox River for well over a year now. And people have complained endlessly about him and nobody did a damn thing. And now we've got a 38-year-old woman with no head. Let's see here. A blood test administered at Northwestern Memorial Hospital revealed that Stevenson had a blood alcohol concentration above 0.20, which is 2.5 times the legal limit. Passengers on his boat noted that he had been drinking alcohol and taking multiple shots of, say it with me, Fireball whiskey throughout the day. See, when you're a Johnny Playboy, when you're a good time Charlie, when you're a drunken idiot, the way Richie Stevenson seems to be, you can't expect the people on your boat to have your back when you fuck up. Nah, they're just using you, Richie. They just wanted to go out. Hey, you know that idiot with a lot of money, Richie? Yeah, let's go out on his boat. So when you fuck up, Richie, and the police show up, don't expect any of these people to have your back. And again, this is not the same situation that we had with the Nolan Wells deal where his friends left him. No, this is not. You're not beholden to Richie Stevenson doing 80 miles an hour through a no-wake zone on the Fox River, cutting a U.S. Marine's head off. It says here, as reported by CBS News Chicago, a McHenry County judge denied pretrial release for Stevenson, ordering him to remain in jail while awaiting trial. Prosecutors have now revealed a history of traffic-related and alcohol offenses dating back to 1997. It includes 3 prior DUI arrests, multiple reckless driving charges, and a 2022 citation for careless boat operation in Florida. He's rich enough. He's got a boat down there in Florida, too. I'm telling you, that crane money has led to a life of just degenerate awesomeness for Richie Stevenson up until this point. Yeah, he's one of these princes. He's one of these little rich princes who is never going to do or build upon what granddad built. He's just going to spend the money. I lived shoulder to shoulder with these cretins when I was staying in Highland Park. I saw them every morning loading up their Porsche Cayenne with their golf clubs so that they could drive the half block to Highland Park Country Club and drink all day long. Yeah, how do you think that made me feel walking the fucking dog, seeing some 32-year-old guy? This is my life because my grandpa invented popsicles. Ugh. So here we have it. Richie Stevenson. Fuck this guy, right? Fuck this guy. Fuck him. I don't know. I was trying to think, is there a better way for me to wrap this story up? And I just don't think that there is. Okay. What do we have here? Should we do the dick of the day? Yeah, let's do dick of the day. Why not? Let's have a little fun. Every day I like to spotlight someone. Yeah, can you believe it? That of all the people I've talked about so far, we still haven't found the dick of the day. But rest assured, we absolutely have one. Today's dick of the day comes in the terrible neighbor category. Today's dick of the day. Terrible neighbor category. All right, here we go. So here in the south side of Chicago where I live, there's a neighborhood known as Beverly. And Beverly is, you have to understand something. Chicago has a rule where if you work for the city of Chicago, you must live in the city of Chicago. So there are a lot of people who have very good jobs with the city of Chicago. You know what I mean? Like the executive comptroller of blah, they're in charge of rich people. I'm saying rich people, right? If you're some, Ivy League attorney who is employed by the city of Chicago as their corporate attorney, right? You still have to live in Chicago because it's, just a rule that they've always had. I know my first wife, she worked for the city of Chicago. She had a big job there with the Parks Department, and we did not live at that time in the city of Chicago, and they used to follow her. They would follow you home. Yeah, like Soviet era shit. Anyway, point is, here in Chicago, on the south side, there's a neighborhood called Beverly, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful neighborhood. It's a historic neighborhood. Most people, I think, outside of maybe the Midwest, when people talk about the south side of Chicago, they think of one thing. They think of the absolute worst. They don't realize that, no, it's like a whole suburban area with nice areas and stuff. Well, Beverly has historically been the nice area. Beverly has been, I have a buddy who lives in Beverly. Across the street from him is I don't remember the guy's name, but I know he's famous. A celebrity chef, like a big celebrity chef. He used to be the host, or not the host, but one of the stars of Top Chef, and then Top Chef Junior. He went, hey, it lives right across the street from my buddy. And who lives a couple of blocks away? Jesse Jackson. Yeah, Jesse Jackson. So people like that. It's a nice neighborhood. It's a very nice neighborhood, Beverly is. Expensive, it's traditionally Irish, very politically connected, lawyers, stuff like that. Anyway, people who work at the Board of Trade in downtown Chicago, stockbrokers, they live there. It's a nice area. And I need you to know that because we're going to talk about something that's happening in this nice, sleepy little bedroom community on the south side of Chicago that has got the neighbors going nuts. And I don't blame them. So I've told you about where I live. I live also on the south side of Chicago. I live in a much different neighborhood than Beverly, although I live, I believe, in an absolutely wonderful neighborhood. I think I just can't tell you. My son and I, we go for walks. You know what we did yesterday? We walked up and down the blocks and we looked at all the different yard configurations, because like all these different people on these blocks here, they have different yard layouts. And he looked at me and he said, I've never seen anything like this. And I go, that's because there's no HOA. These people can do whatever they want. This is big city neighborhood life. Fuck your suburban HOA. You guys get out of here. Anyway, so I love where we are. Beverly is also very nice. Beverly is a couple of miles to the west of us. Very nice. So there is a woman, and this is our dick of the day. There's a woman, and we're going to watch a little bit of a news report from, I think it's CBS 2 here in Chicago. There's a woman who has acquired a home in Beverly, and I don't know if she's living there, but on weekends, she seems like she has turned her house into a full-on jazz club. And unfortunately for her neighbors, it appears like it very well might be the hottest jazz club in Chicago. All right, so let's get into this Dick of the Day story because it's kind of funny, but also, fuck this woman. Fuck you. Are you insane? Get the fuck out of this neighborhood. What are you? This is you're having like, you know, a jazz concert, right? My kid's bedroom window is right there. All right, so here we go. This comes to us from CBS News. Let's watch. We'll let them tell us the story here, and then we'll have a little discussion about, because it's either incredibly clever and would appeal to people who are of the mindset of there are no rules, fuck everything, burn it all down. Like on the one hand, there is that. Like people are like, no, man, she should be able to do that. Fuck it, it's her house, right? Okay, there's those people. But then there's people like me who are like, no, come on, man. This is not normal. This is not what we do. All right, so here it is. I was waiting, filling time there, waiting for this video to show. All right, here we go. How do I make this? All right, so we'll do this. Oh. Okay, hold on. I hope I can. I'm just realizing that there's a weird format on this. Okay. So yeah, let's do this one. All right. All right. So there. So you see that? That's her backyard. That's this woman's backyard in Beverly, which is a nice neighborhood. And by the way, when I say a nice neighborhood, I'm not talking about your images of if you're from Texas, like South Lake or Highland Park. No, we're talking about nice normal houses. You know, like I don't know, Home Alone-ish. You know, although that is a beautiful house, that Home Alone house. Anyway, let's watch. Here we go. This comes to us from CBS 2 here in Chicago. This is our Dick of the Day. This is happening in Beverly.
That's the sound of Shanae Walton entertaining in her own backyard in Beverly.
Shanae's Juke Joint is back.
Last Saturday, Walton hosted a similar party in her yard that she promoted online leading up to the event.
Secure your tickets and prepare for one of the hottest nights of the summer.
Can I also say, and it's just observational, being an old school Chicago guy, knowing how these neighborhoods are, doesn't help that she's black. It doesn't help that she's a black woman doing this. Doesn't. Not saying that it should affect it. I'm just saying knowing the people of that area doesn't help.
The party was listed on a ticket website, but Walton insists she didn't charge anyone, and it was only friends and family in attendance.
I did not sell alcohol. I did not sell admission. I did not sell food. Every time that I...
But she sold tickets on a ticket site. You didn't sell alcohol and you didn't sell food. Look, I know this because in the distant past, we were putting parties together for what we were proposing to be one of these types of spaces where you throw these independent parties. And the whole reason that you go through one of these ticketing services is because you can make it all inclusive. You can sell a ticket for $50 and you can include all the keg beer or well drinks It's a loophole. It's a workaround. And this woman is on television in Chicago pretending like, we don't all know this.
Do something in my backyard, it's just like extra scrutiny.
Last Saturday, Walton hosted a similar party in her yard that she promoted online leading up to the event.
Secure your tickets and prepare for one of the hottest nights of the summer.
The party was listed on a ticket website, but Walton insists she didn't charge anyone, and it was only friends and family in attendance.
I did not sell alcohol. I did not sell admission. I did not sell.
See, but again, she claims it was only friends and family. We just heard the promo where they're inviting anyone to come.
Food. Every time that I do something in my backyard, it's just like extra scrutiny.
So she can't have people on her roof. That's what
Chicago Police, Business Affairs and Consumer Protection, and the Buildings Department showed up to Walton's gathering.
All right, just to give you kind of the lay of the land of Beverly, those cops that are all there, they look exactly like the residents of Beverly. That's what the residents of Beverly pretty much look like, which is why earlier I said it doesn't help that she's a black woman.
Over the weekend, officers were also called to the home in June for a party that was advertised as a rental.
So now every time that I have something in my backyard, they assume that it's a rental.
Since the start of the year, Walton has received 11 citations and 4 cease and desist orders from Chicago's BACP for unlicensed concerts and illegally renting out her yard on websites like PureSpace.
All of which have been ignored, and the property owner.
All right, this is Alderman Matt O'Shea of the 19th Ward. He is the political crime boss of this particular neighborhood. You can see that he's another one who is very representative of the people of this neighborhood. He's got his Irish last name, traditionally a very Irish neighborhood, a very wealthy Irish, lace Irish. As I explained to my son earlier this summer, there are culturally 2 different kinds of Irish people in America. There are the lace Irish and then the shanty Irish. Beverly is for lace Irish. Look at this. Here's what I love about this guy. Some of you may remember, although none of you will. I used to wear this. This is something that I used to wear around my neck. It's I don't know. But I've never seen another grown man wear that. It's a Catholic scapular. Used to wear it culturally, not religiously. I make that distinction. I used to wear it culturally because this is something that young men where I grew up all wore. They are tickets to heaven, if you will. Anyway, I wore them for 25, 30 years. And then when my son passed away, I yanked it off and I put it on him because they're supposed to be tickets to heaven. And I just, But it's funny, I'm looking at this guy, this white alderman from this, wealthy white South Side neighborhood, and he's just checking all the boxes from the religious scapulars from a very highly Irish Catholic neighborhood to the Irish last name. But let's listen to Matt O'Shea talking about the new lady in the neighborhood who's running a jazz club.
Continues to have these illegal events.
19th Ward Alderman Matt O'Shea lives near Walton and says he's frustrated over the police resources that have been diverted to her home.
Stop with this illegal activity. You cannot do these things in a private residence.
Walton says she hired security for her party last weekend because of racially fueled messages she received.
She just said that it was just for family and friends. Why does she need security if it's just for family and friends? Well, maybe she should explain.
Recently received online over the backyard dispute and accuses the city of excessive enforcement.
The parties have not continued. I no longer list my space on PureSpace. I no longer accept bookings.
The paper trail says otherwise. Ms. Walton feels that these rules don't apply to her, and she continues to violate the law.
Charlie DeMar, CBS News, Chicago.
All right, there you have it. That's today's Dick of the Day. A neighbor who is just not being cool, man. These are kids live in this neighborhood. Seriously, if you guys knew what I was talking about neighborhood-wise, by the way, this is, if you do know where I'm talking about, this is West Beverly, so this is on the west side of Western. Probably at I don't know, 100 and... I don't know. I don't exactly 108th, maybe 105th. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, it's not in classic Beverly, but it is kind of over in a new area of Beverly that's trying to expand, and they're tearing down old houses and they're building new houses. And anyway, not good. Not good. And again, I think this is a story where there is two ways to look at it. If you are a chaos agent who is burn it all down and fuck these people and she owns the house, she can do whatever she wants on her property, that's one way of looking at it. I do not look at it that way. I look at it like we are a tribe, we are a culture, we are a civilized society, and we all must intermingle and adhere to some rules, some unspoken, many not written down, but there are rules, and one of them are, you know damn well, you can't have a jazz club in your backyard every weekend. So stop it. Lady, you are today's dick of the day. All right, let's see. We did that, we did that, we did this, and we did that. Okay, let's do 3 videos. What do you say? Let's get into? We did the dick of the day, so let's do 3 videos. These are the best 3 things that I've seen on here today's. That's not exactly always the case, but it is 3 videos that I saw that I thought were interesting and I had some hot takes on, or that I just thought would be fun for those, for us to all watch together. All right, here we go. The first video, this is being promoted online as the most Gen X thing ever. Ready? The most Gen X thing ever. First I read this, being the Gen expert, so I am trademarked. Being the Gen expert, I read this and I went, that's not the most, and then I started watching it and I'm like, this might be the most Gen X thing ever. All right, so we're ramping up here in Chicago for Lollapalooza. We're all very excited about Lollapalooza. And why are we excited here? Because something really cool is happening, something that has never happened before. Hold on, we'll show you this. All right, here we'll just say that there and I'll tell you what's happening. All right. Stop sharing it. I'll just tell you about what's happening. All right. So Lollapalooza, the Smashing Pumpkins are playing Lollapalooza. And why is this a big deal? Because they've never been asked. They've been basically banned from Lollapalooza because of an incident that occurred back in the 1990s, and they've never been invited since. And it's weird because Lollapalooza, at least for the last 10 years or so, has been permanently anchored in the Smashing Pumpkins' hometown of Chicago. It would make obvious sense for the Smashing Pumpkins to be the band that closes out Lollapalooza, and it's never happened. It's never happened, and people have, every year they're like, are the Pumpkins going to play this year? I'm like, no. Anyway, that changed. The Pumpkins are closing out Lollapalooza. They're playing in Chicago in Grant Park for the first time ever, which I can't believe. I can't believe it's the first time ever. Now, let me tell you why this is going to be a big deal. And you have to understand that this probably wouldn't be a big deal anywhere else. But you know how local bands tend to connect with the community through the course of generations, right? Pumpkins have been around long enough now where at least a couple generations of dads have played Pumpkins tunes for their sons, and now their sons like them, and their sons have, it's generational. The Pumpkins, culturally speaking, their contribution to Chicago is inarguable. It's one of the most important cultural contributions. Billy Corgan has become this sort of mystic, like local mystic who, any kind of Chicago question that you have that pops up a debate, and the local news we talked to Billy Corgan. And Billy says that it's perfectly okay to go into Lake Michigan as early as March. Stuff like that. Anyway, they're celebrated. So for them to have never been allowed to play Lollapalooza in their hometown is kind of a weird thing. Anyway, it's been changed. Everybody's very excited. Whether they're excited about Lollapalooza as a whole, I don't know, but people in Chicago are very excited about the Smashing Pumpkins, to the extent that there are a number of people who are my age, people who I know, who are for the first time ever going to Lollapalooza for this show. An entire generation, as best as I can see, is going to try and, get off the dialysis machines or whatever and make their way down to Grant Park to see 90s icons, Chicago staples, the Smashing Pumpkins. Every city's got this. In Dallas, I would say it's probably very similar to the Toadies, right? Like the Toadies want to play, on Greenville. They'll draw a couple 100,000 people. Every city has these, not so much conquering heroes, but bands that Man, if they wanted to do like a really big, massive show, they could pull off a really big, massive show. Kanye has sort of had that here in Chicago on the other side. His bigger than life Soldier Field shows, his big homecoming things. But the Pumpkins, for some reason, have been almost marginalized by not only Lollapalooza, but the city of Chicago when planning their events. And it's been rumored that Chicago events have not featured the Smashing Pumpkins since the city of Chicago entered into a long-term deal with Lollapalooza, suggesting that there was this weird sort of overlap where simply because Lollapalooza meant so much to the city of Chicago that the city of Chicago wouldn't book the Pumpkins to do anything. So when Billy Corgan was finally asked to do it, he said, yeah. And then he went around to all the media. They're like, because nobody in Chicago could believe that this was finally happening, and nobody really understood what this fight was about. So now we know, and it was concerning something that the Smashing Pumpkins did back in the early 90s, in the early days of Lollapalooza. They were major jackasses. Billy Corgan now fully admits that he was a major jackass, which is one of the reasons that I like Billy. Because Billy Corgan and I went to the same college and we had some of the same classes. And Billy Corgan, my first impression of Billy Corgan was he was that irritating dude with really long stoner hair. See, I knew Billy when he had really long stoner hair. He had really long stoner hair, and he was the guy in creative writing, Mr. Morris's class. He is the guy that would jump up just before we all walked out of the classroom and would be standing there handing us flyers for where his band was playing. Never fucking heard of this band or whatever, So it's going all the way back then. I don't know him, but I do not know him. But I do remember how irritating Billy Corgan used to be. Well, he's pretty mature now and he seems like a cool guy. So anyway, it's great. We're all very excited about the Smashing Pumpkins playing at Lollapalooza, but they're playing warm-up shows. They're doing a whole bunch of warm-up shows around Chicago, and they are getting cooler and cooler. I mean, I can only imagine how the final show in Grant Park is going to look. But last night, I don't know where this is. Not sure what bar this is in Chicago, but the Smashing Pumpkins played a warm-up show for their Lollapalooza set, and it's being called possibly the most Gen X thing that has ever happened. All right, let me lay this out for you. Here you have the Smashing Pumpkins on stage with Greg Brady. That's right, the guy who played Greg Brady from the Brady Bunch, singing leads on Sunshine Day, while Flavor Flav, for some inexplicable reason, rocks along in the crowd. Here we go. This is fun. Okay, first of all, Billy, yeah, straight out of the Addams Family, right? I mean, Billy's just leaning into the whole Addams Family thing at this point. This is Greg Brady. What's his name? What is Greg Brady's real name? Barry Knight? No, Barry. This is Greg Brady. Wait a second. Is that the Johnny Bravo suit? Have they covered their bases so effectively with this little bit that they actually went and got Greg the Johnny Bravo suit from the Johnny Bravo episode? All right, let's Flavor Flav. All right, there you have it. It's going to be fun. I won't be going there. Hopefully, as they have in years past, I think it's like Hulu or Prime or somebody, they stream, the Lollapalooza. I won't be going. I shan't be attending. I'll definitely watch that. I can't wait to see that. pumpkins closing out Lollapalooza. That's going to be fun. All right, that's our first video, 3 videos. How about our second? This is a weird one. So I like this dude. Don't know enough about him. Just gonna let him matriculate through the American media amplifier. We'll see what I think of this guy in a few weeks. But right now, I like him. John Ossoff. He's the senator down there. He's sharp. He seems real serious. We need somebody fucking serious, man. We need somebody that's not going for the rim shot on everything. Right? We just need somebody. We need somebody who is going to actually do the job. And John Ossoff is being rumored to be, somebody the Dems ought to keep an eye on. And look, I'm telling you, I'll be voting for the Dem. If the Republican candidate is J.D. Vance, I will be voting for the Dem. So stop it. Does that make me a libtard? Maybe. No, of course it doesn't. It just makes me somebody who knows that I'm never going to vote for a president who wears eyeliner. And we all just act like it's normal. And when I say 2 years ago, why does this guy wear eyeliner? Everybody's like, no, he doesn't. Now they openly admit he wears eyeliner. After there was one, no, he's just got dark rings under it. We have seen pictures of him as Goth Boy. That's right, the Vice President of the United States. We've seen pictures of him as Goth Boy back in college, and you people are acting like it's absurd for me to say that he's got a thing for eyeliner. He does. I won't be voting for that. That's probably not the only reason I won't be voting for it, but that's right up there. That's how petty I can be. All right, so TMZ with their new Washington, D.C. office, they're now trying to turn politicians into celebrities, and they caught John Ossoff. John Ossoff is as I just told you, he's a senator. He's a senator from Atlanta, probably going to run for president. TMZ D.C. confronted him with a very odd question. BDE. Do you know what BDE is? I didn't. I had to look it up. Might be a genetic flaw in my system. Big dick energy. Does John Ossoff, Georgia senator, have big dick energy?
Hey, John, a lot of people been saying that you've got BDE. You know BDE?
I'm on my brother.
A lot of people been saying you got you walk with confidence. You carry yourself.
Only an Aussie
would
ask me that.
Right.
You doing okay?
I'm doing very good.
Okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too, buddy.
Good to see you. Have a good one.
Catch you around. You too.
All right, now let me just explain to you why that was apex level handling of this absurd question. No serious person who is engaged in the welfare of the people on a daily basis should ever have to waste their time with a question as absurdly stupid as that, right? Yet, we live in 2026, and it's what we do. Let's get the sound bite so that some moron will tweet it for its 40 million listeners or viewers, or you know what I'm saying. Nothing of substance counts. So how you respond to these absurd questions, I think, are very important. He scored multiple points. John Ossoff scored multiple points responding to this question. The TMZ fishermen, which is really what they are, they're fishermen, they're fishing for sound bites. He wanted to trigger Ossoff into saying something by saying, Senator, people have been describing you as having BDE. We've established that as big dick energy. Point number 1. Ossoff knew exactly what that was. He knew exactly what it was. I don't know that I would have. If that had been me, well, they probably would never say that to me. But if that had been me and somebody were like, yeah, they're saying that you've got BDE, I'd be like, what is that, Biden dependency? I would think it's stupid political. Point being, Senator John Ossoff is cool enough to be up on the lingo, the stuff that I don't know. All right, secondly, he doesn't act like that's inappropriate. He doesn't try to climb up on the moral pillar and be like, this is the problem with the media. That question is just he didn't do that. Thank God. He knew what it was, and then he turned it on the guy, right? He's like, only an Aussie would ask that. Only an Aussie. All right, how you doing? You okay? And then he took control of it like a pro. Let's watch it again. This is how a pro handles this kind of absurdity, which is another reason why I think this guy is good.
Hey, John, a lot of people been saying that you've got BDE. You know BDE?
Come on, my brother.
A lot of people been saying you got, like, you walk with confidence, you carry yourself through.
Only an Aussie
would
ask me that.
Right.
You doing okay?
I'm doing very good. Thank you very much,
Good to
sir.
see you, man.
Good to see you too, buddy.
That is exactly like, oh, they say it means you walk with confidence. That was a confident dude. He was asked an absurd question. He didn't turn it into any sort of performative moment. He was cool about it. He was like, only you would ask me that. How you doing, buddy? You okay? You okay? All right, good. That's a cool guy, man. I'm sorry. That is just in one of those moments, a cool guy. Now, I know you might see your fellas standing in front of a podium with 5 people who look exactly like them going, we back this bill. And you're like, that guy's a cool guy. No, fuck that. That was a moment. That was a moment where nobody was on guard. It was 2 people. And that's how a cool guy handles that. John Ossoff. Don't know if he'd be anything other than a terrible president. I have no idea, but I'm just saying, you know who's not a cool guy? Just by comparison, Trump. Trump's not a cool guy. Trump's a dork. Trump is a dork who nobody normal would like if we were trapped in a fucking elevator with him. Trump is the guy in the old 1970s disaster films where there was always an asshole who you knew was going to get killed first. That's who fucking Trump is. And you know who his kids are? Every jerk off from a John Hughes movie. And yet for some reason, you guys see somebody natural and normal and cool like James Tallarico or John Ossoff and you're like, they're weird. Guess who the broken one is? You. All right, don't mean to make 3 videos political, but here we are. Oh, but his policies on, I don't fucking have the first clue what the policies on whatever you were about to say are of a senator from Georgia. I don't know anything about this guy. All we can go on is, do these people seem like fucking mutant con men, or do they seem like somebody normal? Would I let him coach my daughter's volleyball team? That's really it at this point. That's the bar you've got to fucking clear to get my attention. And there ain't one son of a bitch in all of MAGA that can clear that bar. So whatever. If that's going to be the opposition, then that's what we normal people are going with. Good luck to the rest of you. All right, 3rd video. We're going to cleanse the palate here. We're going to cleanse the palate with our 3rd video today. This is a good one. This is just, let's take a deep breath. Let's calm down and let's just watch nature. Speaking of nature, I saw some cool nature last night. I'll show it to you in a second. Hold on. Let's watch this. It's the annual feeding season there, somewhere where this happened. Let's just watch some bears. That's all. Just look at the bunch of bears. They're just feeding. This guy. This guy's gotten like a couple of them. This guy's in the right position. It's because they jump right up into his mouth. Oh, did he get it? Or is it this guy? Is it this? Oh, I don't know. All right, there you have it. Bears feeding. It reminds me that camp has started. Are you guys excited about whoever your NFL team is? Are you excited about their camp? I'm not. If I'm being honest with you, I'm not. We are. I know it's the first week. They're not even in pads. Nobody's hitting. But you know, I see on my Twitters and on my whatever else I use, Blue Sky and all that, a lot of my Bears fan friends are very excited. A lot of my Cowboy fan friends are very excited. The Cowboy and Chicago Bear media machine on social media, those are being cranked up. And I'm like, it's only day 2. They're not even in pads. Jeez. No, I'm still all about baseball. I'm still all about baseball. Another good. My team, I don't know if my team's good. I'm going with my team's good. I'm going with my Chicago White Sox are good. It's been a whole year of me going, I don't know. Well, I'm not going to question any of this, but I don't know. So last night, for the 2nd night in a row, the Chicago White Sox walked off the Yankees. The New York Yankees walked them off the night before. I think it was in the 12th inning. Yesterday it was in the 11th inning. Both games came from the White Sox were getting their asses kicked by the Yankees very early. And then these little sons of bitches who make no money, bunch of league minimum, 2nd-year guys on this team, And then there's Mooney. Mooney and Benintendi, they make big money. Anyway, point is this. These guys don't quit for the second game in a row. That's right. We came back. We walked it off. Can't beat fun at the old ballpark is what we're building up to. My daily celebrations of all things baseball. That description I just gave you has nothing to do with today's Can't Beat Fun at the old ballpark. I just wanted to mention it. Just wanted to mention it. But my team's in for some trouble. My team is in for some trouble. The next couple of weeks of games are incredibly scary. We're playing everybody from Tampa Bay to Boston to the Cubs to the Guardians, who are nipping at our heels in the division. It's like 4 series in a row where it's just, oh, fuck, we got to go 500. We got to go 500. So we'll see. We'll see. Can't beat fun at the old ballpark, a daily celebration of American baseball. That's right, our failing pastime. There was a time when baseball was unquestioned the number one diversion in America. You had baseball, you had horse racing, and heavyweight boxing. And then when none of those things were happening, the Miss America pageants. Seriously, there was a time in America where those were like the 4 things. Those were like everybody knew. Everybody, you know, your grandpa, when your grandpa was 30, if you had just walked up to him on a street and said, name Miss America now, he'd have been able to probably give you the last 5. You're like, well, right now we've got Sandy Herschel. She's from upstate New York. Yeah, they had different things that they were interested in. Anyway, baseball is something that I'm still interested in. Every day I like to celebrate the magic of baseball. Here is one that we're going to call Squirrel Madness. This came from a couple of days ago. I've been meaning to get to it for a couple of reasons. The first reason, well, squirrels. Squirrels are always fun. The other reason that I wanted to get to it is because it's my guy, Jason Benetti, who I believe is the best play-by-play guy in all of sports. That's right. I'm not limiting him to baseball. He does football. He does basketball. He is incredible. Jason Benetti is the guy you want doing play-by-play when there is this kind of squirrel madness happening on the field. Let's go to the Detroit Tigers. Jason Benetti, a squirrel has gotten loose on the field.
The chase for the squirrel is on, and the squirrel is in the corner, and the squirrel is still eluding an entire horde of grounds crew members, and the squirrel's free once again. Hemmed in? No, I won't be hemmed in. I have freedom on my mind. Trying to go between the legs, and eventually he gets away again, and hops through the towel, and hops through another towel.
All right, there you go. I love Jason Benetti. Squirrel madness there in Detroit. Check this out. I don't know if you guys can see this. I'm trying to pull this up on my phone. So I'm out there on the Pope balcony last night. It's late at night. There's a light. There's a weird ass light that is like, it reflects on the window and it looks, there's no reason for me to talk about it. Anyway, I went out on the balcony, the Pope balcony last night, and I was looking for this light. It's not a UFO or anything. It's a light on a tower, but it somehow catches the reflection in my window and then gets amplified along the wall. So I was looking for this thing. It's weird. It means nothing to you, but look at this. So I'm out there. Let me see if you can see this. See if I can see the best one. So I am out there last night. This is like 1:00 in the morning. And I looked down underneath the Pope balcony and I see this. Look at this guy. Hold on. See if I can show this to you. You see this guy right here? See this guy right here? All right, I'm going to move my finger. That's a big-ass possum. The picture sucks. All right, I should have shared it. I should have shared it on, and you'd be able to see it. Not that anybody really needs to see the possum that I discovered living middle of the night. He's just strutting around the backyard, not afraid of nothing. There ain't nothing. My son sat up there on the Pope balcony last night and watched the rats. Yeah, we got rats. Look, it's piss off. It's the city of Chicago. We got rats. We ain't afraid of our rats. Big ones. We're sitting on the Pope balcony looking down on the alley, right? That's just across the yard. We're looking down on the alley, and along the other side, we see this big, giant, I'm going to be honest, it was a 7-pound rat. That's right. I've had turkey dinners that were smaller than this rat that I saw running along My son and I did. We're like, oh, look at him. And it's fun because we sit up there and we're like, go, go, go. And he ran right into a yard where there's a pit bull, that the pit bull comes to his backyard, and we sit up on the balcony, and the pit bull goes, oh, and then we go, oh, oh, and then the pit bull goes, oh. And it's kind of a way of communicating. So anyway, the rat's running, and the rat made a left right into the pit bull's yard, and we're like, that ain't going to be good. That ain't going to be good. That rat ain't going to win that one. So that's what we do around here. Hope you're good. Hope you have a great weekend. We'll be back on Monday. We're going to start all new fundraising, folks. That's right. We got to start a whole new month of fundraising. So if you are of the mind to support this kind of talk radio, the kind of talk radio that doesn't care about politics. Look, I don't like Trump, but I don't think that's political. I just think he seems like a dick. So if you are of a mind to support that kind of thing, we are going to begin fundraising again. It's a whole new month that begins on Monday. So I hope you show up for that. You don't have to necessarily tip the show, but I do hope you show up because, we're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep doing it. And we got big plans. I, however, have flux plans. I thought we were playing bags. My plan was that we were going to go cornhole. Sorry, you guys. Cornhole. Thought we were going to go throw bags. I think we are. It's just a little bit. The rain never came. Screw it. Let's go. Let's go throw bags. My kid and I. Oh, God. I want to throw bags because I want to beat the shit out of my kid. I want to beat the shit out of my kid in cornhole because you know how I can kill him in mini golf. He'll never be able to beat me in mini golf. I don't care. I'll be in a walker. I'm going to die beating him in mini golf, and not even like competitive mini golf, like winning by like 7 strokes. Right. So we know that's a thing. He can beat me in everything else. I don't even go in the batting cages with him anymore because he just strokes. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't need to do that. But bags is our new thing where we're like competing now, right? Like a couple of dudes, bags, cornhole. You throw a bean bag or a whatever bag of corn, because that's why you call it cornhole. You throw a bag into a hole and you compete with each other. And as it turns out, we're both like slightly above average. Let's say that. I don't think either of us can go, we're good at bags, but I think both of us are slightly above average. We wouldn't be the last picked. Like, if there was like, I'll take him. We wouldn't be the last pick. I don't think we'd be the first pick, but we wouldn't be the last pick. So because of this, because there is no established king of bags, oh my God, is it intense? Oh my God. So we've got that to look forward to tonight. That'll come. Last week, I didn't tell you guys about this, but last week, the intense bags feud spilled right over into pool. We started playing pool at this place. We threw bags and then we went out for a little dinner. We had a nice time. So we're throwing bags. And then we go to this bar and we're playing pool with Grandma and Grandpa Eddie and all that. And we're having a really good time, a really nice time. And then it wasn't a nice time. It's just, I don't know. Something happened over a pool game and we made it weird. And I feel bad for that. But it was in luck. Again, it wasn't just me. It wasn't like I made it weird. It was like, no, it didn't have to happen that way. And it happened that way. And so I'd like to make good on that. I'd like to try and do that again. Like try and play my son in pool without us, silently not speaking to each other the entire ride home. We had like a half-hour ride home, from out there, the lake area where Grandma is. We had a half-hour ride home. We didn't say a word one to each other. Did you know when the fight started? When we got to the front door. As soon as we got home and got out of the car, then it was like, oh my God, did we have a fight? 5 minutes. Our family fights are 5 minutes, full volume, high octane, full volume, 5 minutes. And then everybody goes somewhere else and we calm down. And then with any good Irish Catholic family, after about an hour, we all come back together and pretend that none of that happened. None of that happened. It was just back to normal. Let's choose to pretend none of that happened. I'd like to say that's what happened last Friday, but that's not. It actually spilled over, and it went until like middle of the night. He had to talk to his mom. His mom's so great at this stuff. His mom talked to him, and then I stewed on my own. And by the time midnight rolled around, we were both like, "I love you, and we were fine." I'm gonna miss him. He's going back next week. Not entirely sure when. We're working that out right now, but I do. I'm going to miss him. All right, I'm going to miss you guys too, except if you decide to show up on Monday. I hope that you do. That's it for us. I want you to go out there. I want you to have a good weekend. I don't want you to do anybody dirty. Be cool. And remember, above all else, stay neighborly.